another live stream this weekend. Hopefully, the weekend has treated you well. Hopefully, the week ahead of you will treat you even better. I'm glad to be here again on another Sunday night with you guys talking pro wrestling. There was a little bit of difficulties just to address up front. I know early on the stream itself had the implication of the logos of every respective WrestleMania. I wanted to be able to provide you guys more of a visual aid when it came to that, but instead we're going to go with the vertical live stream here today, opening up the opportunity to again hear from you guys out in the chat. The last few live streams that we have done with the vertical live stream have been among the most successful ones. A lot of participation, a lot of interaction. This last one we had was in regards to Eddie Guerrero, which I thought was an awesome live stream. We opened up a lot of opportunity there for new people to come and join us in the live stream. A lot of familiar faces as well. So to have that much of an investment from other people who have not been a part of these live streams, awesome thing to see. Awesome thing to see. Hopefully you guys are having a good evening, and hopefully the week ahead will be just as good. Quite a few to talk about. I mean, obviously this past weekend on SmackDown, I know as we speak right now, AEW Revolution is taking place, so we'll get to that in a moment. But this past week on SmackDown, we got some answers when it came to Cody Rhodes and what his mindset was in regards to the shocking heel turn of John Cena. Of course, that slap from Travis Scott, one that a lot of people are talking about across the world of professional wrestling, both in and out of the business. Travis Scott apparently is a heel in pro wrestling, having his own merchandise as well. He has his own merch available online that is able to be purchased. So that's a little bit of news there as well. We do have an episode of the J Area Wrestling Podcast coming out tomorrow, Monday afternoon, and then from then on forward, we'll be talking about what's taking place on Monday Night Raw. A huge episode of Monday Night Raw is ahead of us, obviously, the main event being the steel cage match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, two heated rivals that have been going at it for the better part of a decade. At this point, we recently had a matchup on the first episode of Raw on Netflix where CM Punk was able to get a victory over Seth Rollins, had their issues in the Royal Rumble matchup. Of course, the Elimination Chamber was no different, and now the next phase in their rivalry will take place inside of a steel cage. I'll be curious to see who wins that matchup, who emerges victorious and can gain a little bit more momentum as we get a little closer to Las Vegas, Nevada for WrestleMania 41, which is already shaping up to be quite the show. Obviously, we have Cody versus Cena for the title. Rhea on the outside of the title picture now because she lost to Io Sky, getting a little overzealous, got ahead of herself there by losing to the Genius of the Sky. She loses her world title and an opportunity to face off against Bianca Belair, who had won the chamber matchup, guaranteeing her an opportunity for that matchup at WrestleMania, of course. I don't think it's going to be one-on-one. If you watch the other live streams and some of the episodes of the podcast, you know that I'm thinking it's triple threat. Shout out to Law the Man, says hello. What's going on? Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for joining us on today's live stream. What? What's going on, Crystal? I see Michael's comment just before. That's a mouthful there. That's a mouthful. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Talking pro wrestling. We had discussed what was going on last week. Obviously, the Elimination Chamber was a big one. And Crystal says, LOL. Yeah, it threw me off there for a second with that last chat. But yeah, hopefully everyone's doing well. What are we thinking about Raw, Monday Night Raw? Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Steel Cage. Obviously, we're going to see the fallout of that women's world title matchup. Io Sky, the new world champion, will be facing off against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. And speaking of Bianca Belair, what about that segment on SmackDown between her and Naomi? Of course, the returning Jade Cargill. I thought that was a really good segment. I'm a fan of WWE when they go into the kind of the drama, into that aspect. So what's going on, Johnny? Appreciate you stopping by. Another stream here. Great to see you. You were in the last one, so I appreciate you coming back. Thank you so much. But Io Sky versus Bianca Belair is slated for WrestleMania, but I'm kind of more interested what's going to happen between Naomi, Jade, and obviously Bianca being caught in between there. A good promo, a good segment there between Naomi and Bianca, really getting you invested in their story and doing a good job of recapping what we have seen over the course of the last year plus when involving the big three. Jade Cargill, obviously, hitched her wagon to Bianca Belair and becoming quite the star. Johnny says, I'm watching AEW Revolution right now. Yeah, when Revolution, what a pay-per-view it's been so far, right? I know Kenny Omega having won the International Championship. We predicted that. I don't want to toot my own horn, but we did predict that was going to happen, as well as the steel cage match between Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. Another solid matchup between those two. But what a lot of people are going to end up talking about is that women's matchup between Toni Storm and Mariah May. I mean, just a bloody mess, right? But that's what you expected between two stars of that caliber and the story that was being told between those two. Do you think John Cena will shave bald? I don't know. I think it would behoove him. It would benefit him to certainly shave it bald because of the way his hair is looking. I mean, even then, what if he had shaved like a military cut, which is what I've been saying. If he shaved it to a military cut, it would look a lot more cleaner. It would kind of look a little better in terms of the bald spot. But if I'm a heel and I know that, hey, the fans don't like this, well, it's like, why give the fans what they want? Why shave my head because people want that? Maybe he shaves his head. It would be something different. I would like to see how he is going to, with a shaved head. But I don't know. If I had to guess, no, I don't think he does. But I hope he does. We got Edge versus Moxley right now, for the AEW World Championship. Adam Copeland, or Cope, whatever it is he wants to go by. I don't know. Tony, what's going on? Yo, what's up? Did you watch AEW? I was able to watch the show, and by the time I was available to do so, it was already mid-match. It was already mid-pay-per-view, I should say. So I'm probably going to catch the replay and see how the show as a whole was, because I hate having to start a show right in the middle of it and then already having going past. So Snapshot saying I just got out of prison. Congrats. Congrats. But yeah, I'll probably try to catch the replay on that one. But I have been keeping up on what's been going down. Like, I know that Mercedes Moné, successful title defense against Momo. What do we expect? Swerve getting the win over Ricochet. Why not? I think it's the right call. Ricochet's been doing well, under his new heel persona. But I don't see how Swerve could not have won that matchup. It's a good call there. Tony says, congrats, Snaps. How are you going to like Seth versus Punk? I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's the main event. I don't see how it could not be the main event. But I do think that... Can we talk about that lineup job on your beard for a second? It was a long day, buddy. It could be a lot better. I'm not going to lie to you. It could be a lot better. Johnny, for the steel cage match, I'm looking forward to it. Being that it's one of the two biggest stars in the company right now, WWE, Rollins and Punk. I'm very invested in it. Like Rollins' work, I've always been a big fan of Punk, so I can't wait for it. Should be a good one. Does AEW have a WrestleMania or Starrcade? It's up for debate. I feel like All In, the way it's been presented, whether it's in Wembley, now it's going to be in Dallas, Texas. That arguably is like their WrestleMania. Some people say it was Revolution because it's consistently their best show of the year, and as well as Double or Nothing, being that it was like the first like big pay-per-view for them. I don't know if they have one that's obvious. Obviously, their big pay-per-view. I would think All In. Just because of the amount of people that they fit into the stadium, the presentation, the fact that it's been out of the country already. I would say All In. Do you have any tips for beating Mike in the new Elden Ring? I've been stuck on it. Can't say I have any tips for you there, Fish God. Sorry. Cody Rhodes supposed to be on Monday Night Raw. I don't know. I know usually he releases his schedule ahead of time, like the certain towns that he's going to be in. Not sure if he's scheduled for it. In terms of the narrative, in terms of the story, maybe, but I wouldn't think so. Looks pretty intentional to me, trying to make your jaw more pointy. Yeah, I mean, I go a little light on the sides and heavy on here. Sanford says, I am the learning tree, a fish god. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing with the name Fish God. It would really be a close fight that could go either way, honestly. That's up to you, man. Come on, Fish God. You gotta try a little harder than that. Shout out to Sanfran5 though in the chat. I didn't forget about you. Almost as bad as, yeah. Almost. Jimbo knows. But I think Fish God might be a contender to interfere. Almost. See, and it's lucky it's not like a text-to-speech. Otherwise, it'd be reading them all, dude. That, well, shout out with the Iron Sheik, I see. That's an Iron Sheik quote if I've ever heard one. What do you like about Naomi? She turns on Jade. I like the fact that they're giving Naomi more range here. Naomi, when was the last time we really saw her as a heel? Seeing this personality of her come out, and it's like Kevin Owens, where it's not necessarily, like, she's not really in the wrong. You know, you can kind of see, well, I shouldn't say that she's not in the wrong, but that she doesn't believe that she's in the wrong. She is very well in the mindset that what she did is justified. And I like that level of depth. I like that we're getting a little bit more characterism when it comes to Naomi. And we're giving her something to work with instead of just being consistently like a background character to other people. So we're giving her something to work with. I do like that. I like this little edge that we're giving Naomi. I'm all for it. Invisible Stan or Invisible Man? Invisible Stan. I'd have to say Invisible Stan for sure. But yeah, AEW Revolution, you know, with that show going on, we know that Okada defeated Brody, which, I mean, looking at the card and how it's been built up, it's been pretty consistent on what we had predicted in last week's video. Does Finley love to fight? You better believe it. You better believe it. As a bird fly? Hangman beating MJF, though, that caught me off guard. I didn't think that was going to actually happen. I honestly thought they were going to go MJF, have him get the win. That caught me off guard. Who do you think at the end of 2025 will be the women's champion? That's a good question. I'm thinking Tiffany Stratton's going to drop the title to Charlotte. I do think that that's going to happen. Following that, I think whoever wins Money in the Bank is probably going to beat her. It could really be anybody. Just looking at how the landscape of the division is split out, maybe someone like Jade or Naomi. I think someone there. If you had to ask me, Jade or Naomi, one of those two is my immediate pick. What do I like about Moxley and Edge as a matchup or individually? Moxley, I think we talked about. I like his brawler. You know, that sense of a brawler. His unique style. Edge, all-time great. Resume speaks for itself. Real person too. Rock or Austin? I'm for sure going Austin. Nothing against The Rock. Big fan of his. I'm a big fan of Austin. Nothing against The Rock, but if we're talking in totality, I like Austin's character, like his promo, like his mic work. Presentation's pretty cool. Can't argue with him. I mean, if someone were to say The Rock, I'm not mad at it either. Kurt Angle versus Brett match or Shawn versus Eddie. I'm going to go Shawn and Eddie. Those were two of my top three. Those are probably my favorite. Shawn and Eddie. I think just the matchup in itself and the story can go much deeper. Kurt Angle and Brett, that's basically going to be your matchup of like who's the best. You can say the same thing for Shawn and Eddie, but I look at Shawn and Eddie and it's like the similar styles, the similar stories. Give these guys a half hour worth of, ring time. They're going to deliver the best match of the night, best match of the year even. And the fact that was a possibility for WrestleMania 22, it stings knowing that we didn't actually get that. Let's see. Do the type to say no way when offered a donut. Is Edge going to beat? I don't think so. I think Moxley retains. I don't see Copeland. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see Moxley losing. At least not tonight. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's my prediction. My barber was a working Chris Jericho lookalike. That's like what version of Jericho though? That's the question. Who was worse, Dudley or Ellsworth? At least Dudley won a title. Spike Dudley was a tag champion and was a cruiserweight champion. Ellsworth did not offer anything. Goldberg for me. Wake up for it. Long hair Jericho? I mean, probably the best one. Chris Jericho does look like a hairdresser. Yeah, Jericho nowadays, it's rough. It's rough for Jericho. I mean, I was a kid at the time. I mean, even then, though. Probably the best version of Jericho, though. Lesnar versus Goldberg, both in their prime. That's a tough one. Because you can make the argument for either one. In their primes, I think maybe... Because Goldberg obviously has the streak. But I think Brock Lesnar's just more of a physical force. In their prime, I think Lesnar. I would pick Lesnar. But again, if someone were to tell me Goldberg, I wouldn't argue with him. Like, I could see that as an option. But being that he had history in the UFC, I know how his matches went against like Cain Velasquez. It wasn't I'm more inclined to pick Brock Lesnar in that one, in that regard. If you're starting a promotion, who would you choose to be the main star? That's a good question. Thank you for that, San Fran 5. If I'm starting a promotion, I want to go someone younger. I think the obvious answer right now would be your guys like Cody Rhodes, obviously because he's the main champion in WWE. But if I'm leading into the next era, I mean, looking at a guy like Ospreay. I know Ospreay by no means is like the youngest guy on the roster, but he has the less mileage. I think Ospreay's a good option. Again, Cody's great, but it's like, again, I kind of want to steer a little bit younger. But it is for right now. That's a good one. I think Gunther's a solid pick. And like develop him as like the big villain that everyone's trying to conquer. I could see Gunther, if you twist my arm, a combination of like Gunther, Ospreay. I could even argue Swerve, honestly. Long question, but for each title in the WWE, who would be the GOATs for each belt? So for the WWE Championship, that's a good one. For the GOATs for every title. Is that for like each, San Fran 5, is that for each title, like specific designs? Like as a whole? Because that could make a difference. So I just want to make sure, is that for the designs or or for that. Have you seen the Hunk versus Goldberg for the big gold belt for the first time? Goldberg went soft on a couple spears that match. Wonder why. Yeah, I mean Hogan. I mean you guys already know how I feel about Hogan. Not a big fan of his politically. Not like in politics, but I mean like in wrestling politics. He obviously managed to finagle his way into presenting his character and his matches in a certain demeanor to kind of get himself over. I have no doubt in my mind that there was some form of Hogan politicking there for his Goldberg matchup. I'd like to see dark characters again. Undertaker, Wyatt's Kane. What do you think about this? I'm a huge fan of that. I like the supernatural gimmicks. Undertaker, Wyatt's Kane. You can argue Mankind. There was a more psychological approach when it came to Mankind, at least the original incarnation. I like diving into that aspect of the character because not only is wrestling obviously in the ring, but I do feel like it's a majority of storytelling as well. So when you have the background of these characters being developed and fleshed out, it lends itself to be more interesting and able to be invested in these matches. I'm a big fan of those type of gimmicks. Thank you for the question there. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Undertaker, we just talked about this, my brother and I. Undertaker's the best gimmick of all time. Bar none. The uniqueness, the presentation, everything about the Undertaker. Best gimmick of all time. Each title, not designs. Yeah, for the WWE title, I'm stuck between guys like Bret Hart and Cena. Obviously, because Cena held the title so many times. I look at Bret Hart's work as a whole. Austin is another one. If you were to tell me one of those three, I wouldn't argue. Bret, Austin, or Cena. I can't give you one right then and there. When it comes to the world title, I'm going to consider the world title beforehand that was introduced in 2002. I think you have to go Triple H. Held it 5 times, was the first holder, obviously had the Reign of Terror. I'm going to go Triple H with that one. The U.S. title, again, in the WWE sense, John Cena had the great run in 2015, is like a 3-time champion in totality. That's just my opinion. Intercontinental, the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. It might be recency bias, but I hear a lot of people saying Gunther because he has the longest one, and also because the quality of matches against Gable, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, both of them in a triple threat match. Gunther's in real consideration. I like Chris Jericho, won the championship 9 times, the most out of anybody. So I might give you maybe 1 or 2 answers for each title just because I feel like there's wiggle room there. Gunther and Jericho for me personally. Tag team, greatest tag team of all time, or tag team champions of all time. I do think the New Day and the Usos are up there. Again, that might be recency biased, but aside from them, I think the Dudleys, Hardys, in there. Those are, again, I know I'm not really giving definitive answers, but those are like the people where it's like if someone were to tell me that, I wouldn't argue against it. Women's champion Trish, I think she's the greatest women's champion of all time. There is an opportunity for that to be changed with the current crop of talent they have in the division. So certainly I think that has a potential there as well. When it comes to NXT, you can go a bit of ways, right? North American champion could be Johnny Gargano, could be Wesley. Wesley had a great run. Obafemi had a good run. Probably Wesley for the NXT North American title. In 2004, I visited family in London, Ontario. They took me to see Raw in the same city. Saw Kane marry Lita ringside. It was sick, but the official results state it was filmed in Anaheim. Really? That's weird. To have like the location changed. I wouldn't even know that. I would have assumed, yeah, that it was in California. I mean, I don't know the location off the top of my head, but I do think that's odd that they would change the location. My girlfriend's brother is a wrestler in the PNW, and his gimmick is an undead vampire. Hey, that sounds cool already to me. And he just won the program's main belt. Hey, congrats. That's awesome. Winning the main title, a cool, unique gimmick like an undead vampire. Sounds cool to me. Congrats to him. But no, thank you guys for the questions there. The championship one was a good one. That one took me a second to consider because there's like a lot of championships, and those are just the ones that are active. What do you think about John Cena's heel turn? I'm a fan of it. Especially because it was just so surprising. I know I had kind of alluded to it. I was like, hey, what if Cena was the one to sell his soul out? But it's not real until you see it. So to see that actually happen, it's crazy because it's something we never really thought would have happened. I mean, obviously we did talk about like, in 2012 it was a possibility reportedly, but I like the way they did it. You know, having the drama surrounded around it, and you know, going in for the hug and having The Rock give him the signal to, you know, attack him. I thought it was well done. I'm looking forward to see how they move forward. I saw him live and it's good. He's got potential. Right on. What's his finish? You know what his finish is, AJ? Jimbo says, also worked security with a fair few of the old school 70s and 80s British wrestlers, one of which Drew McDonald was a WWE scout. Yeah, you did mention Drew McDonald in a previous stream there. They're saying Randy will be next. No. Can you imagine? Randy's right now feuding with Kevin. I can't see him, you know, turning heel. Imagine him, Rock, and Cena as a heel faction. Whoa, dude. The three of them, you know, trying to fight off the new guard. That'd be crazy. One sec, I'll find his finish. Yeah, no, I'm curious what his finish is. I can't see him being a heel right now. I think for sure he's going to have to go and face Cena. You know, for the first time ever, it'll be heel versus babyface, like reversed, you know, because Cena was always the babyface. That'd be an interesting aspect to see in their feud. Him turning heel, maybe not now. Maybe not now. Sorry, I forget when I bring stuff up sometimes, playing the tism. No worries. No worries, dude. It's a good reminder, too, and it's a good segue. SpongeBob versus Squidward, an Inferno match. Who you got? SpongeBob, because I feel like Squidward would just throw himself into the fire to get away from SpongeBob. That's my prediction on that one. Blandism is crazy. What are you guys' thoughts on John Cena and the heel turn? I know John had asked about it, but I'm curious what you guys think. Are we a fan of it? Are we looking forward to it? What are our predictions for WrestleMania? Are we thinking Cody's going over? Is he going to beat a heel John Cena, or are they going to have this opportunity to have John Cena go over and win his 17th title? I don't want to share my prediction for the matchup just yet. I want to have it play out a little bit, see where we're going in the direction, and then obviously you guys already know we'll have our prediction video up, you know, about a week or so before the event itself. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. Do you recall an NFL team wrestling in WWE? I mean, there was the one time at WrestleMania 11 where it was like Lawrence Taylor had fought against, was it Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event? There was even a time where they had a battle royal at WrestleMania 2, and it was a mixture. It was like 10 wrestlers and then like I think 10 NFL athletes. So the NFL does have a history of having its athletes come and perform. I do think that it can be beneficial, to cross promote and have more eyes exposed to the business, exposed to pro wrestling. But more times than not, it's not really a success. Some of the more notable celebrity involvements have kind of been athletic related. For example, Money Mayweather, WrestleMania 24. You can argue Logan Paul because he was into boxing. Bad Bunny is one like the exception to the rule because he's not an athlete; he's a musician. So for him to come in and perform the way he has is outstanding, really. But in terms of NFL, Lawrence Taylor I think is probably the most famous example. I know WCW had Kevin Green during the late 90s, part of the whole NWO storyline there. But yeah, the NFL has been very linked with pro wrestling, even basketball. Most recently we saw Tyrese and Jalen Brunson get into it on SmackDown, I believe it was. Karl Malone has had a match here and then in WCW. So yeah. What do you think about Punk and Seth's brawl? Dude, I loved it. What I loved about it too is it wasn't like something quick. They really took their time with it. They allowed the two to get some hits in, and every time you thought that it was contained, they just kept going at it. Because it really highlights the dissension and the tension between the two, that Punk and Rollins do not like each other. They don't like each other. And they really highlighted it then and there. And that was the opener to Monday Night Raw. And then you move forward throughout the night and they're still going at it in the back. I enjoyed it. I like how they had so many people from the back try and interfere and try to prevent it from carrying on. But these two just would not let it go. They would continue to fight, whether it was in the ring, whether it was at ringside, whether it was in the crowd, whether it was back, in the backstage area. They just kept going at it. And I feel like that's what the WWE had been missing for quite some time. And that's like some real heat when it came to their feuds. Because most times than not, it was the typical, like, I don't like you, you don't like me. Like, it was very formulaic. And nowadays, there's nuance. There's reason to believe that they genuinely don't like each other, that there's real animosity between someone like Seth and CM Punk. And then you go back into their promos and how they address each other, what they're bringing up in terms of their past, how they want to move forward, and even to the point where the Elimination Chamber, where CM Punk is basically about to win the matchup, but Seth Rollins delivers the curb stomp, and that opens an opportunity for John Cena to place in the STF. And while he has that in, you can hear Seth Rollins yelling at CM Punk, die, die. Like he's had it. He has absolutely had it. He's at his breaking point when it comes to CM Punk, and at this point, he just wants to see Punk fail in every aspect, whether it's in the ring, whether it's his professional life, his personal life. There is a lot of animosity between the two, certainly on TV, and it's refreshing. I think it's something that we all can get invested in. That's why this cage match is going to be must see, for my opinion, because it's now another match that Punk is going to have with real heat to it. That Hell in a Cell match, a couple years ago, Hell in a Cell was nothing but a novelty act. It was something that was like for toys, essentially, like a way to promote, the Hell in a Cell. It wasn't really because it was warranted, like, oh, this match needs to take place in Hell in a Cell. It was like, okay, it's that time of the year. But when it came to Punk and McIntyre, it was like a breath of fresh air where it's like, no, this match should happen inside the cell. These two don't like each other. They have been battling out for nearly a year at that point. Put them inside the cell. Let's end the feud. The steel cage match, I feel like, is very similar to where it was used in a very frequent manner where it felt diluted. It felt like it was watered down. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. But now, again, you have Rollins and Punk. Been battling it out for the better part of a year. Clearly don't like each other. Need to be contained. So you put them in a cage. Good old-fashioned cage match. The one thing I do hope is they treat it as like the old school cage match, where it's like you don't have to escape the cage. I know they're probably going to say like, hey, escape the cage is a possibility, but I want like a definitive winner. Trap these two in a cage, have them battle it out, duke it out. Let's figure out who's the best between the two. Punk got a clean victory on the first episode of Raw's Netflix. Now, I think we're going to see Seth win. This is my prediction. I think Seth is going to go over. I think Seth wins, beats Punk, and we get an appearance by Roman Reigns following the matchup, or Roman makes an appearance during the matchup, and I guess Punk wins again. I don't know, but regardless, if again, you had to make me pick, I think Seth is winning, but I think regardless, I think Roman makes an appearance. I think Reigns makes an appearance, and we move forward with that rivalry because it's well documented. Seth and Roman have beef. They've had for 10 years. They'd have the occasional team up here and there, but what happened in June of 2014 when Seth Rollins betrayed the Shield still sticks with us to this day. Monumental moment in wrestling history that has become a domino effect to this day. And I think Seth Rollins, that curb stomp, that super curb stomp he hit on Roman at the Royal Rumble, didn't forget about that. So you know he's going to be coming back for some blood. And it's going to move forward towards WrestleMania. I think that's the plans for Seth and Roman. WrestleMania. If Punk is involved in a triple threat, cool. But I look at the card right now, and Punk is the one I can't predict. We know Cody's going to fight Cena. We know Randy's got Kevin. We know that Seth and Roman are probably going to fight. Where does that leave Punk? Because he could be interjected in either one of those feuds, but I think it's more likely to be the Rollins and Reigns. I think so. Signatures are running full body slam. Okay, not bad. Finishers a Canadian Destroyer. Tombstone pile driver. Wow. Okay, as a vampire or an undead vampire, that makes sense to me. The Tombstone pile driver, Canadian Destroyer is impressive. That's very impressive. Not a bad moveset. As a world champion, I like it. Vince Russo and Kevin Dunn versus Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette TLC match. I would pay to see that. Four of the most polarizing figures in professional wrestling, both in front and behind the camera. Vince Russo, we know, well documented for the booking choices that he had during the Attitude Era and the last days of WCW. Kevin Dunn, who has never really been a positive figure in pro wrestling for his choice of directorial, editing. And Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette, two of the best wrestling minds in the average, or in the modern era, I should say. I would pay to see that, though. Thank you, Sam Frank 5. Johnny says, what do you like about to check the Jack Rabbit snakes? What? Check the Jack Rabbit snakes? I can't say I'm familiar with that, Johnny. I'm sorry. Speaking of wrestling, what do we think about the whole YouTube boxing going into YouTube wrestling? Oh, Jake the Snake Roberts. Also, I'll get to your question right now. I'm just going to answer Johnny's. Jake Roberts is very underrated. A lot of people like to praise him as one of the best wrestling minds, but I still think he doesn't get enough credit for what he was able to contribute to the business in terms of psychology. In an era where pro wrestlers were telling promos in a loud and just brash manner, screaming at the microphone speaking with the camera, with the whole Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior typical promos. It's been said redundantly that Jake Roberts was one of the first ones to kind of bring the tone down, force you to listen to what he was saying, slow down the positioning and the pacing of his promo. His finisher was the DDT, a simple move, but yet it was so devastating it would put his opponents to bed. Jake Roberts is a Hall of Famer. He's one of the great villains of all time, and because of the Snake, Damien, arguably one of the best gimmicks as well, And ironically enough, he was afraid of snakes, or still is to this day, I suppose. Doesn't get his praise enough. In terms of the else is about boxing and wrestling, it's all about quality, right? I mean, just because people can do it doesn't mean that they should do it. I look at a guy like Logan Paul, who started off amateur. Well, is it considered amateur boxing because they were doing it like on pay-per-view? Every now and then you're going to be able to weed out the bad ones and find the good ones. But I mean, the transition between boxing and wrestling is pretty much night and day. I think it's very much like how the MMA world and WWE work together, where if you see someone like a Brock Lesnar and a Ronda Rousey, those people are trained to hit people. In the WWE, yes, it is a physical sport, but you're not necessarily trying to hurt the other person. It's a performance. It's a show. You know, it is physical, but sometimes you have to learn to pull your punches a little bit. So there's a lot of room for error, I think. Or maybe not a lot of room for error. I misspoke. Would you ever consider on reacting to backyard wrestling clips? Yeah, I know early on in the infancy of the channel, we had some clips where I would react to those. Some of them did well, some of them didn't. So it is just all depending in terms of the reception of what the audience wants. If that's something that they would enjoy, I would, love to bring it back as a series. We did it for a little bit there, and again, the reception was mixed. Some did good, some didn't. But yeah, I would be open to it. But again, it all just depends on what the people want to see. If they want to see more reactions to backstage or backyard wrestling, I'm open to it. But if that's something they want. What are your opinions on the recent Oscars? I watched some of it. I didn't watch it all. And the Oscars are an interesting award show because a lot of times the films that are selected for the Oscars aren't really well known. And that can be good and bad. Bad because a wider audience may not be familiar with the work, but that can be a good thing because now you're exposing them to a wide selection of film. I didn't see a lot of the films that were nominated, hence why I didn't watch the Oscars. I know that there was a lot of praise towards Mikey Madison, who had won Best Actress for her film Anora. A lot of praise about that movie. I've got to check it out. If it was, nominated and won so many awards, probably one I'm going to be checking out. Aside from that, though, I wouldn't be able to tell you a lot. I know Conan hosted, which was something different because they usually have like Jimmy Kimmel in that position. But whoever's hosting, it's a hit or miss. Everyone has their preference in comedy or in hosting styles. But I usually look at the Oscars as an opportunity to be like, okay, this one won a bunch of Oscars or it was nominated for a bunch of Oscars, so maybe that'll be placed next on my watch list. Thank you for the question, though. He's too tall. I won't be surprised if he makes it. I didn't expect to see my girlfriend's brother to be my favorite one, genuinely going to the program we were invited to. Well, hey, right on. Congrats. But it's like the too tall thing, it's like, that's the making of a good star. A lot of people look for the height and the size, so all the best of luck to him. What do you like about the earthquake in WWE? That was during a time where it wasn't necessarily my favorite era. The golden era isn't one of my favorite eras. It's one of my least favorite. Mostly because it's like the furthest away for me as a fan. I grew up in the Attitude Era, more the Ruthless Aggression era. I'm more inclined to follow the New Generation era more than the Golden Era. Nothing against Earthquake. I just wasn't a fan. Didn't really gain my attention. I saw a report that there were rumors. I think they're false, but that they were gonna put in Earthquake into the Hall of Fame as like one half of the natural disasters. I don't think so. I think the Demolition should certainly go in before them. But I wasn't a fan of Earthquake. Nothing personal, just not for me. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's true. It's like if I say I don't like someone, it doesn't mean like, oh, he thinks they're trash. No, it's just not for me. What's that hanging on the wall over by the two balloons? Oh, above here? That is Freddy Krueger, his glove. and Jason Voorhees mask. For people who are familiar with the channel, you guys know I'm a big movie buff. I actually have a good amount of movies off to the side over here. Maybe we do a movie stream at one point and just go through the movies that I have. And I'm a big horror movie fan, so Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger, of course, are must-haves. And the balloons are obviously, it's flipped, but it's 2K. You know, celebrating for when we got our 2,000 subs here on YouTube. Our next goal is 3,000. The plan is hopefully to get it by WrestleMania 41, which is April 19th, April 20th. Right now, as it currently stands, we're creeping up on 2,700. So, still something we're trying to strive for there. Thank you, Sam Frame 5. What I like about Umaga was like a modern version of that foreign heel. You know, back in the day with the Kamalas, the Yokozunas. Umaga was a modern version of that, but he was athletic enough to where he could go. He had the power, he had the strength. I liked that, again, hit or miss, because it was like that foreign menace who couldn't speak and was seen as like a primitive, being. But I liked Umaga. Even as a kid growing up, and I recognized that he was a heel, there was that level of intrigue. What I thought was interesting was back in 2009, where he spoke for the first time, and I believe it was in a feud against CM Punk for their Samoan strap match at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in 2009. And hearing him speak was just weird. Like, I obviously know he's a human being, he can speak, but on TV, it was very jarring. But I liked Umaga. I liked his Intercontinental title run. It's amazing to think that he was only really on the main roster as Umaga for less than 3 years. Isn't that crazy? Because he debuted in 2006, and then the last time we would see him is on 2009, until ultimately he would pass away. Rest in peace to Umaga. Do you like the Piper versus Goldust street match? Yeah, the street fight, the Hollywood, the backlot street fight at WrestleMania 12. Entertaining. San Fran 5 already knows we enjoy that matchup because of the little reference to O.J. Simpson and his the White Bronco run from '94. But as a whole, I liked the Goldust versus Piper feud. I was always a fan of Piper. Goldust at that time was a controversial figure, but I enjoyed it. I like the takes where it's like they were on the highway and they would cut to the chase scene, and Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross were like, well, this looks awfully familiar, and it's like, obviously people know it's a reference to the White Bronco chase. But I enjoyed it. The finish was crazy. Having Dustin, aka Goldust, being stripped of his gear, and Piper revealing that he was like wearing women's lingerie, was out of this world type of a finish. Alpha says Ronaldo or Messi. I'm probably gonna go Messi. Kozlov, Umaga, Boogeyman. Who wins? Pick wisely. Well, I know who you're picking, AJ. You're picking Kozlov. For sure. I'm inclined to pick Umaga, man. But I tell you what, it'd be close. I'm going Umaga. Bro, I heard OJ, what's going on? We were talking about the WrestleMania 12 street fight between Goldust and Piper. Which, ironically enough, we had just picked up. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. I put it over here. We went to the store and we had picked up, it's going to be reflected obviously, but a copy of They Live, John Carpenter's 80s film, where it's starring Roddy Piper and Keith David. It's an oldie but a goodie. Shout out to San Fran 5 who actually found it, so we decided, hey, let's pick it up. Big fan of Roddy Piper. You guys already know I'm a bigger fan of Piper and Savage than I am Hogan, so we saw this. He's never seen it. I've seen it. If you haven't seen it, I suggest watching it at least once to say you've seen it. But yeah, Roddy Piper, Keith David, They Live. I enjoy it. Ronaldo, yeah, I said Messi. What do you like about Brock Lesnar? Just a force. I mean, he should never have been a babyface. He is the perfect type of a heel, the perfect Goliath for any type of a David. His best matches, in my opinion, were against guys like Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, those guys, smaller wrestlers. Brock Lesnar, I think, is the perfect foil, the perfect heel in that sense. Athletic freak. I mean, he had the strength. He could do the shooting star press. I mean, he obviously didn't hit it in WrestleMania 19, but he was able to hit it in OVW. I think his relationship with Paul Heyman, that advocate relationship between the two, really fit well. I'm a big fan of Brock Lesnar in that regard. What do you like about Shane and Vince? For Shane's an easy one. What I like about Shane is his commitment to the craft. This is a guy who by no means is a pro wrestler, but he was able to find ways to put his body on the line and throw himself off of these structures, compete in these matches that really take a toll on your body. The dedication he would have towards a matchup is unmatched. I mean, this guy may not have been able to have a 5-star classic, but he was certainly able to give you those moments. I give Shane a lot of credit for that. Didn't have to, but as the son of the boss, wanted to earn that level of respect. And I think he did, not only from the boys and the girls in the locker room, but from a lot of the fans. I think Shane McMahon certainly has earned a lot of people's respect in that regard. As for Vince, we know what he's done. We know what's been accused of Vince. But I will say for him, my favorite thing about him is the formation of WrestleMania and what he was able to do with wrestling. It wasn't seen as big of a spectacle as it is now. I do think for people who have done questionable things, whether it be a Vince or a Hogan, it's difficult to not acknowledge the positive aspects that they brought to the business. I will give him that much credit. What he's been able to do in terms of elevating the sport, in terms of elevating the form of entertainment that is pro wrestling, I got to give him that credit. I got to give him that much. Steve Blackman or Al Snow? I'm going to go Al Snow. Nothing against Steve Blackman, but I think Al Snow, the character of him in the Job Squad, him holding around the mannequin head, his time in TNA. Obviously, he's booking OVW right now. Nothing against Steve Blackman with his trusted sticks, but I'll go Al Snow every day. Do you think Shane would have been boring if you? Oh, do you think Shane would have been boring if you erased his best and second match? So his best matchup, I think, is King of the Ring 01. Still, his second best match, I mean, that one could be up for debate, depending on what you like. But if we were to take away, if you were to take away those, he still has a long list of moments to where he's jumping into fire, or he's jumping off of a ladder, or he's jumping a lot of times where he's jumping off of the stage. I still think it would work in his favor. That King of the Ring matchup by far is his best. So yeah, it does kind of hurt him in terms of the match quality. He had a great match against AJ Styles, now that I think about it, WrestleMania 33. So no, I don't think he would have been boring. I don't think so. What do you like about Kurt Angle and Sting? Wow. So for Sting, he's a great wrestler, but the Crow version of Sting is my favorite WCW star of all time. The look, the entrance, the vibe, the gear, everything about him, cool. Had the aura. He is the Undertaker of WCW, just like how Undertaker is the Sting of WWE. His longevity, the ability to have great matches, not only in WCW, but also in TNA, even in AEW. You have to give him credit there. Kurt Angle, I have so much appreciation for Kurt Angle in how he was able to adapt to pro wrestling. We knew him as an amateur, as a Olympic gold medalist with a broken freaking neck for those who don't know the spiel. And for him to adapt to pro wrestling in not only the sense of a physical manner, but character on the mic. It was funny. He was great. Has some of my favorite matches. One of my favorite matches of all time. Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 21. It's a great match. It's a fantastic match. I didn't know Al Snow was a booker. Yeah, he books OVW. He's the head booker over there at Ohio Valley Wrestling. They did a documentary on OVW. It's on Netflix. It's called Wrestlers. It has obviously Al Snow as a part of it. Layla, oh my God, it's gonna kill Layla Gray, who is in AEW, is also featured in that documentary. But the documentary on Netflix is called Wrestlers. I highly recommend it. You get a real deep dive into what it's like being a part of pro wrestling and how the booking process, the financials, the promotion aspect of it all. It's not on the level of a WWE or AEW, not even a TNA level, but it's still a fascinating introspective of how the business is conducted. And to see a veteran like Al Snow involved in it, and someone that we're familiar with as pro wrestling fans, we know Al Snow from his time in ECW and the WWE and TNA, it's a good watch. I recommend it. What do you like about Sting and Darby Allin? I like the mentor and protege relationship between the two, where WCW was always Sting's place, right? He was the face of WCW for the longest. And it was like an opportunity to pass that mantle on over to Darby. Darby, the heart and soul of AEW. I thought it meshed really well. Their matchup at Revolution last year against the Bucks, awesome. Great send-off for Sting. Do you think they will ever find the lost media ECW match that caught on fire with Mick Foley? Wouldn't that be cool if they uploaded it like on the vault? But even then, I don't know. At this point, if you don't show it, doubtful. After WrestleMania, Solo will feud with Jimmy after Jimmy winning the US Championship. I could see that. But even then, because LA Knight just won the title. Shout out to LA Knight, by the way. Great choice. Love Shinsuke, but that title reign was not it. I'm usually of the mindset of giving them an opportunity to let it cook, give them time. That Shinsuke title reign was not it. Sorry, Hunter. It wasn't it. I like Shinsuke. I like this new form of Shinsuke that we're getting, the darker side of Nakamura. That's cool. But they didn't do anything with it, really. LA Knight as a champion, great call. Has the promo skills. Has the fans already on his side. So I'm a fan of that. I don't think Jimmy's going to beat LA Knight for the title. You know who I think could beat him? I think Jacob Fatu. I think Jacob Fatu might be the guy to beat him. I don't know if Solo will feud with Jimmy at one point. I think he will feud with him. And I hope Jimmy does win the US title at some point. But it's a little bit of ways. Because I think it's going to go LA Knight, then Jacob, and then maybe Jimmy beats Jacob. Who knows? But whoever beats Jacob, that's going to be big for them. What do you like about Michael Jackson? His creativity. Can I talk about music? His creativity. Because I think he was able to approach it in a unique manner to where he heard the notes, he heard the melodies different than what other people would hear. I saw a documentary on Michael Jackson, and this isn't along with the This Is It documentary. He had a specific vision when it came to producing music, and it was always about bringing that out and having other people see his vision. Maybe you and I weren't able to hear it or see it the way he did, but the way he explained it and delegated the different responsibilities in terms of bringing it to life, a visionary, I think, is a word that we could definitely associate with Michael Jackson. Great choreography. Great music videos. Because they were just like movies, if anything. And if you know me, look behind me. Big fan of movies. So, yeah, no, just an artist, simply. Shout out to Muhammad there in the chat. Happy late on a Sunday night. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. You too, buddy. What a time to be here. Appreciate you, Muhammad. Thank you so much for joining us on the live stream. On another vertical live stream, we were going to go with a traditional live stream, but again, technical difficulties. But whatever. Hey, we're here. Where's your hairline? I don't got hair, buddy. I got no hair. Obviously bald. Appreciate that. Johnny says, what do you like about Elvis Presley? Cut the rest of it. Yeah, dude, I have to shave it off again. It takes me a day or two to cut it. I got you, Muhammad. My bad, bro. All love. No, it's all good. It's just it grows back and it grows back in the back, you know? But we try to cut it. And plus, dude, you gotta understand. Anyone in the chat who's bald and is still growing it like in the back and not really on the top, to shave with a razor blade ever so often, dude, it can get taxing. It can get taxing. So I just shave it, machine, keep it cut like that. Johnny, you asked about Elvis Presley. Very similar to like Michael, where it's like as an artist, you know, the way they approached it. It was a different time, too. My brother's a Johnny Cash aficionado. He's a big Johnny Cash fan. I like Johnny Cash. I like Hurt. I like Man in Black. But I'm not going to pretend like I'm the biggest Johnny Cash fan. Like I'm a diehard. I'm a casual when it comes to that. Do you think WWE would have been screwed if they kept Benoit? Okay, if they kept him in 07, I think you can't, right? It's a bad look, PR. And they're all about business. It's all business, man. They're not going to do that. It would have been a bad look, yeah. It would have been a bad look. I was trying to watch Jericho's match, and I didn't see Jericho. Yeah, they didn't have the matchup after all. He ended up attacking Gravity and Bandito, so the match never happened. Fun fact, in SmackDown vs. Raw 08, Benoit isn't in the game. He's still in the game files. You have to mod it to play as him. Shout out to San Fran 5 there. Oh, yeah, that's true, AJ, because like SmackDown vs. Raw 07, that came out in 06, so it doesn't really affect it. So, SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, yeah. Do you like Darby Allin? Yeah, I'm a fan. I do think he has to be more careful, dude, because Darby Allin's reckless. And I don't mean like in a bad sense where it's like he's going to hurt other people around him. He's going to hurt himself, man. You know, Darby Allin, his longevity is on the line when you're doing these crazy stunts. What do you like about Sasha Banks? Great heel. Great heel. I really enjoyed her heel run in NXT. The WWE I thought was a good heel as well. Great match against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 37. Great matches against Bayley in NXT. The Mercedes Moné stuff though in AEW is hit or miss for me. She's a great athlete, great wrestler, don't get me wrong. But it's very formulaic. We know she's going to beat these people like Momo Watanabe. No doubt in my mind that Mercedes is going to win. I don't know. Has 4 titles. When you win so much, it's just like, Again, great wrestler, but I don't really get as excited as I would back then. Everyone doesn't know that King Woods was the first to beat Roman by DQ. Like, people forget about that. People do. That was crazy too. Like, it feels like a fever dream that Woods and like Kofi were feuding with the Bloodline very early on. No patches like in today's game. Imagine. Yeah, no, there were no patches back then. Did Ricardo beat Roman Reigns? Ricardo, like Rodriguez? Like with Del Rio Ricardo? Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara. So, Rey is the greatest mass luchador of all time. I will die on that hill. There's been a lot of great luchadors, but in terms of the business, in terms of what he's done and legacy wise, he you can't deny it. My favorite match of Rey Mysterio, anything with Eddie, specifically Halloween Havoc back in '97, his feud in 2005 for sure. What's up, Kevin? I see you in the chat. Hey, what's going on, Kevin? Hope you're doing well. But also, I mean, I'm biased, obviously, because I'm of Mexican descent, and having someone like Rey Mysterio represent the culture like that, big fan of him. Sin Cara, I mean, I thought the presentation was cool early on, but it wore off. I thought it was interesting having the good Sin Cara versus the bad Sin Cara. It was like Azul versus Negro. I thought that was cool. But, yeah, no, I hit or miss with me. I think he's doing better as Mystico. Del Rio, Ricardo had a match with Roman and won. Look it up. I gotta look it up, dude. I don't remember that. Not gonna lie, bro, I'm super stressed with midterms. I hear you. But this life makes me forget about my worries, my worldly worries. I appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you so much, bro. Always a pleasure seeing you in the chat and joining us here for these live streams, man. You're one of the real ones, man. Been here for a minute. I've always said major thanks to those that have been with us since the beginning, and major thanks to those who have joined us along the way. But you've been here for a minute, man. So appreciate you always, Kevin. Thank you so much. What do you like about? I'm thinking that's Omos and AJ Styles. Omos, I got no. Honestly, I have no opinion on Omos because they never show him. He's never on TV. I really don't have an opinion. AJ, though, one of the all-time greats. I mean, his time in TNA, his time in New Japan and WWE. If someone were to tell me they had him in his top 5, I would not argue. I think AJ is phenomenal, no pun intended. Love AJ's work. His stuff with CD, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle in TNA, just to name a few. And then obviously the Bullet Club, John Cena in WWE. I mean, AJ Styles, man. What can you say about him? He's one of the greatest of all time. Big E versus Lashley was so underrated in the steel cage match. Dude, again, it feels like a fever dream that happened because it feels like it was so long ago to have him as the WWE champion, feuding with Bobby Lashley. Love seeing Big E as the champion. It's just a shame what happened to him in his injury. We hope nothing but the best. Don't know if that's the end of his career, but yeah, man. AJ, thank you for saying I'm one of the all-time greats. So I got you, buddy. I got you. You're one of the GOATs. Most of the time I'm funny and silly, but this is crossed my heart real. I appreciate you, AJ. Thank you so much. Is John Cena heel turn going to be a short term or a long term? I think it's going to be a short term. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns back like in August, September around. I don't see him ending his career as a heel. I think he ends it as a babyface. I think it's long term, Muhammad. What do you like about the Paul brothers? I respect the hustle. That these guys were able to form their own brand and say what you want about them as people or the controversies that they faced in the past. But I do think I got to give them a little bit of credit for being able to forge this brand for them. I'll give them that much. Also, shout out to Logan Paul, who again has transitioned to pro wrestling pretty well. He gets it. He's a great heel, a great athlete. I'll give him that. Jake Paul, I don't know. How do you get hurt again? Oh, Big E? Oh, yeah, because he had the, it was like a belly-to-belly suplex by Ridge Holland in March of 2022, leading up to WrestleMania 38. And when he goes for that belly-to-belly suplex, Big E doesn't get the proper rotation. So instead of landing on his back, he landed straight head down and essentially injured his neck. And I don't know if it was a herniated disc or something like that. I'm sure someone in the chat could correct me, but it resulted in a neck injury that could have been fatal. It could have been a lot worse. Could have paralyzed him even, but thankfully he wasn't paralyzed or anything worse like that. It just so happens to be that he won't be able to go in the ring. It's been 3 years now, but it was a bad injury. How come Cena hasn't showed up to Raw or SmackDown? You gotta stretch it out. He's here for a whole year. I think his next appearance is gonna be like March 17th or something like that. You gotta stretch it out. Let it breathe. Hello, bro. Hello, Akash. Where is your hair? Right next to your grammar skills, buddy. Bray Wyatt versus Tribal Chief in 2022 when Bray returns would be the W. Man, and that's one thing I would have loved to have seen is Bray Wyatt versus Roman, but the Tribal Chief Roman, because they already had history going back to Bray's run as the Eater of Worlds and the Fiend, who was actually the guy that Roman beat for the Universal Championship beginning the Tribal Chief era. It's a shame we never got to see that. I would have loved to have seen that. Great point there by Zillow. What do you like about Johnny Knoxville? Again, a guy who throws caution to the wind. This guy doesn't care about his well-being. He does it for the entertainment of the people. What he was able to build with his friends, obviously with the Jackass franchise. Hustler, I'll give him that much. The Rock talked John Cena to turn heel, and I wouldn't see John Cena turning back if their lack of babyface. I don't think there's a lack of baby faces right now. Like, they're really stacked in terms of the roster. I do think, though, that we're not gonna see him finish off as a heel. I really don't. But I think you're right, Muhammad. I think he turns back. Kevin, dude, why am I just now finding out that Miss Elizabeth passed away due to an overdose in Luger's hotel room? It's wild. It is crazy. And that happened back in 2003. Sad ending to Miss Elizabeth, Obviously, everyone has their demons, and that was the one that she was battling. Thank you, Zillow. No, I'm just going to come out and say it, too, because we've had a few of people talking about, like, dude, where's your hair? It's like, dude, I'm bald. Like, I obviously don't have hair. So, very original. We appreciate the originality. But bald is beautiful. That's what I've heard. I don't know. That stuff doesn't bother me. If people were to say, like, oh, you're bald, where's your hair? It's like, it's clearly not on my head. Clearly. Bring it on. Did the guy in wrestling call Billy Graham? What do you like about him back in the day? Oh, Superstar Billy Graham. Yeah. For a second, I was like, who? I'm just so used to calling him Superstar Billy Graham. Superstar Billy Graham, man, is one of the all-time greats. Very influential for guys like Jesse Ventura and Hulk Hogan. Was that over-the-top heel. And quite frankly, one of the early versions of, like, the Body guy. Very built, had a physique like no one else. Was one of those guys in the promos that would say, hey, he's the kind of guy your ladies love to look at. And the guy that guys want to be like. Billy Graham, awesome. Big fan of his. Obviously, before my time, he was like in the 70s. I was born in 98, but still. Tony says, I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Saw those guys back in the day, and my brother went to school with Ryan Dunn, and I saw his car the next day after he crashed. No way. Damn. Tony with the hookup, though. I mean, Tony knows people. That's wild to see the car after the crash. Zilla, weird question, but who's your favorite horror slasher? Not a weird question at all, dude. Like, that's one thing I don't get to talk about a lot, but I kind of would love to, is I'm a big movie guy, and horror is one of my favorites. Maybe is my favorite genre, actually. Who is my favorite horror slasher? It's close. I'm a Wes Craven guy. So obviously you can see above my bald head here, Ghostface, and over here, Freddy Krueger. It's a tie between those two. It's tough. On one day, I could go Ghostface. The other day, I can go Freddy Krueger. It's tough. It's tough. Obviously, I love Jason, Michael Myers. Those are awesome too. But any given day, it's Ghostface and Freddy Krueger. Those are the two. I'm a Wes Craven guy. Wasn't Miss Elizabeth close to Nancy Benoit by any chance? I don't know, because Miss Elizabeth in the 90s was in WCW, obviously, so was Nancy Benoit. I haven't seen anything that would suggest that they weren't close or that they were. I'm sure they were friendly, they knew of each other and were friends. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to give you that answer. That's a great question, though. You're W, bro. Don't let the hate get to you. I appreciate that, Zillow. We don't, come on. People gotta do a lot better than that. Favorite ring announcer? Howard Finkel immediately comes to mind. I'm a big Howard Finkel guy. I was able to catch the last few years of his career. So, but aside from him, I really like Samantha Irvin. She was good. Lillian Garcia's cool, but I'm going to go Howard Finkel for the win on that one. Thank you for that. Nah, LOL, just a coincidence. Hey, coincidence or not, dude, that's still crazy. Still crazy. What do you like about Vader? Is that Vader time? A freak athlete. This guy, for his size, to be able to doing moonsaults. The Vader bomb. I like Vader. Big fan. Love he had this mask where it was like almost like an elephant type of a tusk deal. That mask that would come off, dude. And it had like the steam in WCW. Pretty cool. Tony says, I love the original Halloween, but Terrifier is so bad it's great. So Halloween is a classic. I mean, dude, I gotta show you now. Hold on, where are you? Got the whole box set. Big fan of the Halloween series. Have it all the way up to 2018. I don't have the other two, just because they're always available on streaming. Halloween is a great franchise. I love that franchise. In terms of, I've always said, in terms of a character, I love Freddy Krueger. In terms of the kills, Jason Voorhees. In terms of the story, I'm going to go Michael Myers and Halloween. Terrifier, I've seen the first two. I still haven't seen the third one. Terrifier is something else for me. I don't know. I can see why people are into it. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan. I get it, but I'm old school. That's just me. Haven't seen the third one, though. Maybe one day. I got to get to it. There's a lot of stuff to watch. Do you believe there was 2 Ultimate Warriors? Shout out to San Fran 5 there. For you guys who aren't familiar, San Fran 5 has a U.S. title next to their name. That's signifying that they're a member of the Main Event Mafia. If you join the membership, you get first priority in the replies. You also have access to other exclusive content that isn't available to the vast majority of the public. And you get a cool title next to your name there, signifying how long you've been a member. For example, San Fran 5 has been the U.S. champion for now 2 months. Once you get 2 months in, you get the U.S. title. Do I believe there was 2 Warriors? I do not. I think it's an urban legend, and we love talking about urban legends. I don't think so. It was always Jim Hellwig. It was during a time when the steroid trials were cutting into effect of the WWE and forced guys like Warrior and Hulk Hogan to lean down rather than having these hulking physiques. I don't think there was 2. I think it was always Jim Hellwig. Thank you for the question. Zillow says Jaws all the way for me. Oh, it's a great movie. They're going to re-release it in theaters as well. San Fran 5 and I were talking about that. It's going to be, the 50th anniversary? So we're debating about going to see that in theaters for the first time in theaters, because we've always seen it at home. But awesome choice there, Zillow. Kevin says, recently was shopping at Target and saw an amazing deal for the entire Conjuring series. Got it all for like $7. I love the Conjuring. Wow, that's awesome. That's a good deal. let me see if I can find it. This is just going to end up being show and tell with my movies. I only have the first Conjuring and the second Conjuring. I don't have the others. But I do enjoy the Conjuring series. I love what James Wan has been able to do outside of like the Saw series. He was familiar with him and Lee Winnell obviously have like a tie with Insidious. Conjuring I enjoy as well. Let's see. But that's a great deal though, Kevin. Can't beat that. What do you like about Bischoff? He's a great mind for television. A lot of people recognize him as like the leader of the NWO for some time on TV. But as a TV executive, he was really efficient and influential in getting WCW the the push it got in the early 90s. I think he has a great mind for the business because you have people who are well into the wrestling business. He was good into like the marketing business and being able to put over talent and put over a product. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Raw GM of all time, or maybe just GM of all time. Big fan of Eric Bischoff. I listen to his podcast occasionally. There's a lot of podcasts out there, so try to make time for Easy E. Mama's in the chat. Mama says, hi, have one too. What's my belt looking like this month? It's the U.S. Championship. Again, the U.S. title, signifying that you've been a member for over 2 months now. First, you start with the NXT Championship, then the Cruiserweight title and the U.S. title, which conveniently enough was won by LA Knight. But that's the U.S. Championship. Appreciate that. Again, if you guys want to have a U.S. title, like Sam Fran and Mama Ramos there, become a member, get exclusive access to other content, as well as first priority replies in the comments. So thank you guys for your support in that regard. Tony Rivera with a nice quote from Jaws there. Farewell and adieu to you, Spanish ladies, farewell, and adieu to you, ladies of Spain, for we received orders for the sale for Old England, but we hope very soon we shall see you again, Jaws. If I'm not mistaken, is that not it's a novel, is it not? Is it not a book? Because I'm a movie buff. I will confess, I'm not, a big historian when it comes to books, but I believe it's a novel, is it not? What's your most rewatched movie / comfort movie? Whoa, wow. That's a good one, actually. I don't know, but Quint sings that in the boat when they are getting drunk. It's been a minute since I've seen Jaws. Yeah. But what's my most rewatched movie / comfort movie? It's probably gonna end up being, I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. So it's probably Spider-Man 1 in 2002, starring Tobey Maguire, directed by Sam Raimi, who obviously did great work in the Evil Dead series, or their trilogy, I should say. Probably the first Spider-Man. That's probably my comfort movie and my most rewatched movie. But there's a lot of movies. Like I know the first Scream for horror is my most rewatched / comfort movie. I'm a big fan of Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey in 1994. Those are definitely on that list. Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, the very first one. But to answer your question, Kevin, it's probably the first Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire. Yes, it is. Thank you for the answer. Appreciate that. Yeah, because it sounded like it was. I don't have it, actually, coincidentally enough. That movie portrays NYC so well. Great camera shots and the aura / time it was recorded. I've never been to New York, but that's how I always imagined it. I was like, you know what? I haven't been there, but that's what I would imagine it was like. And so I'm glad to hear that it's a faithful adaptation. San Fran says, I know that movie almost word for word. Facts. I mean, we watched that movie on repeat as kids. And like whenever it's on TV, we're flipping through the channels. We leave it on for a little bit there until it goes to commercial and we're able to know it word for word. We play a game wherever it's like, if there's a movie playing and someone walks into the room, we're like, okay, without looking, what movie is it? And whenever Spider-Man 1 plays, immediately we can call it. Whether it's one word of dialogue, whether it's the score, like the music, it's something that we're just so familiar with. What are some famous movies done in Cali? I don't know. Tony says, no retreat, no surrender. I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head. What are some famous stadiums / arenas in Cali? NYC, all we got is Madison Square and MetLife. Hey, Madison Square Garden, I mean, dude, the most famous arena in the world, right? But for famous stadiums in California, I'm biased. I'm a San Francisco fan, so we'll always say Candlestick. That's a big one. Obviously, you have SoFi, which is like a newer one. But if we're going historical, Staples Center, which is now known as Crypto.com Arena. I mean, again, in terms of historical, there's a few. Ever watch Blood In, Blood Out? Kevin, that's funny you mentioned that. We were literally talking about that movie yesterday. My family, we were talking about Blood In, Blood Out. And the actor who played Miklo is he was like here in the area and like advertising something. I don't know, but that's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, I've seen Blood In, Blood Out, a classic. Dirty Harry. Oh, that's a good point. Sanford 5 shouts out at Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry's a great movie. Love Clint Eastwood. But yeah, that one was based in California. That's awesome. SoFi looks awesome, says Tony. It's a good stadium. No cap. It's a great looking stadium. State of the art. I'm jealous of it. The Niners got Levi Stadium, which was like the last bit of their era of stadium. And then after that, we started getting these more modern ones. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little jealous of that. Blood In, Blood Out, 10 out of 10 movie. It's a classic. Again, one of those movies you should watch at least once. You don't have to watch it endlessly, but I do think it's among those where it's like, just watch it once to say you've seen it. Because it's classic. Sanford 5 says, SoFi is Levi South. Damn right. Damn right it is. Great points here on the stream, man. I'm trying to think what else I have here on the wall that we've talked about. Dirty Harry. I don't have Dirty Harry, but I do enjoy it. Blood In, Blood Out. I don't have in this room. That one I have out in the living room. But I have Blood In, Blood Out somewhere over there stashed in the living room. Jaws I don't have. Jaws is one of those movies, like I love Jaws, but Jaws is one of those movies where it's like Forrest Gump, where they're constantly played on TV. You flip through the channels and they're always on TV. So it's like I almost bought Forrest Gump years ago, but I decided against it because I'm like, dude, it's just always on TV. Like, it's a cool movie to have, but like, odds are I'm never gonna watch it because it's always on TV. Man, I also want to point out too, we didn't talk about it, but the main event of Revolution, Moxley successfully defends the title and defeats Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, who cashed in his opportunity for the title there. Wow, 2 birds with 1 stone. So Copeland loses, Cage loses, and now Moxley retains, which I called. So on the night, let's see, I got Moxley right, Ospreay, Kenny, Tony Storm, the Hurt Syndicate, which is already 5 right. Okada won, that's 6. 7 with Swerve, 8 with Mercedes. The only one I did not get right, Hangman beats MJF. The only one I did not get right. So I'll take it. 8 out of 9, not too bad. Tony says, I'm a little older, so Goonies is my comfort flick. That and Batman 89. Dude, where is it? I got the Batman collection. I do have them in single form, but again, that's somewhere else. Goonies is a great movie. We had just watched that movie not too long ago. Goonies is a great movie. And hey, for people who already know, I'm a Cyndi Lauper fan. So to have that song in there, down. But Batman 89, Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, classic. Classic. Was the standard for what a Batman movie was for the longest. And then, Goonies. Who doesn't love a good 80s film? 80s, that's one thing I've always said. The 80s, great for their music, great for their movies. What a time. Sports, you know. Tony with the great taste there. Those are good though. Goonies and Batman '89 as comfort movies. What about anybody else? Anybody else having any comfort movies? What are your guys' go-to, most rewatched? Those movies that give you a little bit of nostalgia, gives you a little bit of peace of mind. Hey, it's a long day at work, long day at school. What's the kind of movie you throw on and you kind of relieves that stress, takes you out of it? Tony says his is Goonies and Batman. I said mine was Spider-Man 02. Tony says Batman '89 was not just a good movie. The lead up for months was a total vibe. Prince's album, right? The anticipation was nuts. All the memorabilia, etc. What a time. That was a decade before me. But still, the influence that movie has, because even, like, so my brother and I, we grew up big fans of like the animated series Batman in the early '90s. You could see there was a lot of influence from Tim Burton's '89 Batman movie. So again, influential. We knew the Dark Knight of Batman as a brooding character, and to bring in that gothic aspect of Gotham and Batman, it was refreshing because we had only known him for like the Adam West portrayal. That's awesome. Great take. That one in Batman Returns, so good, so good. Even if you don't like Tim Burton's style of films, his Batman, double feature there, stellar. Love the way they characterize Michael Keaton as Batman, and the dichotomy between he and Jack Nicholson's Joker, Michelle Pfeiffer's arc as Catwoman, even Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, stellar stuff, man. Awesome, thank you for that. Kevin says, I'm a big documentary guy, not gonna lie. Any WWE documentary, same. You're talking to a guy who grew up just strictly on like the WWE documentary. I have a bunch of them down here as well. But just not just WWE. I love watching. Here, shout out to Mama Ramos. Literally beat me to the punch here. For my stressful days, I just watch any serial documentary. Yeah, no, literally. We literally just finished watching the Charles Manson one that's on Netflix. There was an OJ one that we watched like a month ago, and there's a couple more that I haven't gotten to, but Netflix is really good about their crime, drama type of documentaries. That and, of course, Raw, the two main reasons why I keep Netflix. But, yeah, beat me to the punch there. Tony says, love Tim Burton. He also did, he did Pee-wee's Great Adventure. Showing my age a little. Dude, no worries. Tim Burton, a wide catalog of films there. Me growing up, it was like, obviously the Batman films. I grew up on that. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was one. We saw Alice in Wonderland. And that's not even taking into account the other films, as you mentioned. Pee-wee's Great Adventure. Beetlejuice is a go-to. Love Beetlejuice. Still have to see the new one. I haven't seen the second one. It's on my list on Max. I will be getting to it eventually. And then, Edward Scissorhands. Love Edward Scissorhands as well. Tim Burton has a wide array of options there. But yeah, with Kevin, any WWE documentary, big fan. Love their documentaries. Mama Ramos talked about the serial killer documentaries, big into that too. I'm gonna probably end up seeing the Jean Benet one or the Gabby Petito, one of those. I have those saved up. It's tough though. There's a lot of wrestling out there, and we try to keep up with it. We try to keep up with it as best as we can. Plus, we have the live streams, which I love doing. Love doing the live streams with you guys. And then we have another episode of the podcast coming out Monday afternoon, and we're trying to still build up a level of momentum here on the channel. The goal is 3,000 by WrestleMania 41. That's on, April 20th is the second day. So we're trying, doing really well. Couldn't be doing it without you guys, though, so appreciate that. Kevin says, recently watched AEW, A&E's documentary on Roman Reigns. That's actually my next watch. So I have, we have Hulu, which shows the A&E documentaries. I want to see the Roman Reigns one. Yeah. We just watched the Diamond Dallas Page one. Again, we don't have access to A&E, but we do have the Hulu app. So Roman Reigns is on my list. San Fran says, I like Speed Racer. Oh, dude, he has that on repeat. Big fan of Speed Racer is San Fran. I'm surprised they haven't remade it yet either. I miss Roman versus Lesnar. Kevin, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't. They did that match a lot. What they had 3 WrestleMania matches, right? WrestleMania, yeah, because it was 31, 34, and 38. Their best matchup, I think, was the SummerSlam matchup in the Last Man Standing. So, I don't, truthfully. I got that match enough. But their Last Man Standing match was the best one, in my opinion. Solo's your uncle? Thanks. If you're just joining us here on the live stream, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. We talk pro wrestling on our live streams on Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays. If you haven't subscribed to the channel just yet, consider subscribing. We talk about pro wrestling throughout the week. We have videos on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Occasionally, we have a surprise video every now and then. Our live streams consistently Monday, Sunday, and Thursdays as well. We open up the live stream for you guys to dictate and direct the conversation. For example, today we've been talking about movies, man. And for those who know me, who know the channel, you know I'm a fan of movies. I'm a little bit of a movie buff. So always an opportunity for you guys to direct where the conversation goes. We will be having another poll up tomorrow for what we're going to be discussing on on Thursday's live stream. So keep an eye out for that, obviously in the community tab where you can place your vote in the poll and have a voice in what we discuss on Thursday's stream. Looking forward to it. Last week we had Eddie Guerrero's stream. The Eddie Guerrero stream was one of our best streams. I think it stopped at some point like at 1,000 views or something like that. One of our best live streams that we've had since the channel's inception. Really well received, and overall I thought was a good conversation and a fun live stream in my opinion. So whatever it is we choose to talk about on Thursday, hopefully we're able to match, if not do even better than the Eddie Guerrero stream. But I tell you what, the bar was set pretty high with Eddie. And both in the ring and in regards to the stream, one of the best ever. One of the best ever for sure. But I want to thank you guys for making that one of the best ever as well. We are currently sitting at, last time I checked, it was 2,652 subs. The goal is to get to 3K by April 20th. That's the goal. I would love to achieve that with you guys, but again, it won't be possible without all of our help here. Obviously, me continuing to show up and show out, and you guys consistently supporting as well. So it would not be possible without any of you. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys. And again, we'll be going for another about 20 minutes here on the live stream. So if there's anything you want to ask or join in on the conversation, please make sure to do so in the chat below. Make sure to comment that as well. We're going to be going for another about 20 minutes here. So thank you guys again for joining us. Any questions? Doesn't have to be wrestling related, although wrestling is the main priority. But if you have any other questions, man, throw them your way. Or throw them my way, I should say. We talked about movies. We talked about comfort films. What about La Resistance? That's crazy, San Fran. La Resistance. What a shout out. And that brings me back, though, to wrestling, because I was going to ask, what are some comfort matches or stories in wrestling that really bring you guys back in terms of nostalgia? Or again, one of those matches where it's like you don't get tired of watching it and you watch it so often, it's like you know the match like the back of your hand. Do you guys have any matches where it's like, I love this match, it takes me back to a great time in life, or it takes me away from the stress that we all have to endure here in life? I know for me personally, I have a couple. the Eddie Guerrero Rey Mysterio matchup at Halloween Havoc 97. I've talked about it extensively in these live streams. You guys who are already familiar with me in these live streams are probably tired of hearing it, but for sure, that matchup. If not that one, it's Undertaker versus Shawn, WrestleMania 25, WrestleMania 26. Any combination of those three certainly are my comfort matches here. Shout out to Tyler in the chat. Tyler says, guys, I'm watching AEW pay-per-view. Year is amazing. Dude, solid show, right? Great list of matches there. We got to see solid matches. Wait a minute, it's like what would we expect, right? For all the criticism that AEW gets for their television and their booking, their pay-per-views have consistently delivered. You know, matches like Hangman Adam Page and MJF, highly anticipated because of who was involved, being that those guys are, you know, basically AEW originals. The steel cage match between Fletcher and wow, Ospreay drew a blank there for a second. Was another matchup looking forward to. Talk about Tony Storm and versus Mariah May, dude. What a bloodfest, right? What a brawl between two of the best in that division. And of course, the main event, Moxley successfully defends. What more do we think, right? Shout out to Tyler there. Tony says, I'm not even going to go there, bro. Come on. Tony, lately for a great laugh, I watched Jericho and Vince McMahon. You just made the list. Oh, yeah. All four guys, yeah, in the ring. We're trying not to laugh. It's a 4-minute clip on YouTube. Jericho with the whole you just made the list got over like crazy. It's crazy to think that he was able to get certain things and certain phrases over with like minimal effort. So shout out to that. Great pick. Lately, we said that one. Kevin, I hold RVD versus Cena dear to me. One night stand. It's a great match. I got into wrestling because of ECW guys like RVD, Sabu. My cousin had a DVD of ECW classic matches, and I was hooked since then. We watched that live, that matchup. One night stand, 2006. RVD defeats John Cena for the ECW for the WWE Championship. And I'll never forget because the crowd, it's an ECW crowd, so obviously the chants are laced with profanities. And I'll never forget hearing my dad's reaction to it and just looking at us like, what are we watching? And I was like, trust. Great matchup though. Loved it. Hart versus Owen at WrestleMania. Oh, that's a great one, Salvi. Owen versus Brett. I mean, dude, come on. Solid. It's the best brother versus brother match of all time. It's probably the best opener to a pay-per-view of all time. Great choice there. Awesome. Leo says, Naya. What do you like about The Miz? I like his story. The fact that here's a guy who came from the real world, the show on MTV, wasn't meant to succeed in the WWE, had a lot of adversity thrown his way, being thrown out of the locker room, being hazed for better or for worse throughout his early career, and then earning that respect by consistently showing up, consistently improving, winning the Intercontinental Championship, the US title, the tag titles, the WWE title, Money in the Bank. So many accolades for Mike the Miz Mizanin. His story is one of those examples of perseverance and continuing to be resilient and not giving up. I give him a lot of credit. Say what you want about his in-ring work, but I think in terms of a character, The Miz is one of the more consistent beings in WWE. Love his character work. Thank you, Johnny. Love a good origin story, Kevin. Literally. That's something we should talk about, though. I would love to, for another live stream, because again, we're running a little bit towards the end here. I would love to have a live stream where we all can just talk about the origins of like what got us into the wrestling, what got us into the business, what were some of our early memories. That's certainly a topic for another live stream, though, so I look forward to having that. Johnny says, what do you like about Rusev? Commitment. You know, his stuff under the Alexander Rusev gimmick, where he was really able to play that foreign heel. Again, it's a classic trope, but that foreign menace type of a heel. I loved his work with Lana early on, when it was like a Ivan Drago type of a build towards WrestleMania 31. Aside from that, though, his time as Rusev Day was cool. I enjoyed that. We actually got to attend a SmackDown episode where he was in the middle of the Rusev Day angle. Seems like a very likable dude. I think, from what I've seen. What do you like about the Bella twins? They were good. I can't say anything because the Bella twins aren't my cup of tea. You know, I was much more of a fan of like AJ Lee. That was who I was a fan of in terms of the division. Nothing against them, but I'm trying to think what was their best match. And even then, I don't think I can tell you. Nothing against them. Their theme song, not even because Brie Mode was not a good theme song. Let's see. Love the Miz. Dude on the mic is great, and I liked his IC run. Yeah, 100%. Kevin, you're on the. Or sorry, Tony, you're on the money. 100% agree with you. When the Miz spazzed on Bryan that one time for calling him a weak champion, great moment on Talking Smack. Still talked about to this day. That's what really, for me, solidifies the Miz because you can tell how much it meant to him. That's awesome. Oh, let's see. Rusev and Cena had good matches. They did. Really enjoyed WrestleMania 31. No one ever talks RVD, one of the GOATs, who never got a fair shake. RVD is one of the greatest of all time. And I do agree with you. What happened to him in 06 was a shame. Wins the WWE title, is crowned the ECW champion, gets caught in possession of the ganja, and they basically punished him for that. And nowadays, it's okay for them to do the ganja. They've said, I think Liv Morgan was the one most notable. But influential, I mean, I've always said RVD in a word, cool. The ring attire, the ring entrance, the move set, the attitude, like RVD is the coolest wrestler of all time. Thank you for that, trainer. The Miz is the best. Low key, R-Truth. Love them both, man. I mean, I'm more of a fan of R-Truth than I am The Miz. Nothing against The Miz, but R-Truth, former NWA champion, and on top of that, probably one of the funniest wrestlers of all time. His comedic timing is ridiculous. Should be a Hall of Famer. Thank you for that, Salvi. Best foreign heel goes to Sheiky, baby. We love Sheik. We love the Iron Sheik. Look, I have respect to AEW and Tony Khan now, but they show me best pro wrestling in the world. That's the one thing about pro wrestling that I love. If you look at it from a standpoint of in-ring action, AEW is more inclined to be your company, right? These guys know how to deliver a solid pay-per-view, always have great showings in their matches. WWE has great matches as well, but they're more predicated in the story. They like to get you there with the nuances, with the narrative. And that's okay. You can have a little bit of both. AEW, though, excels in their pay-per-views. I will say that. Shout out to Tyler. What do you like about AJ Lee married to Punk? I mean, it's not for me to say, for me to be like, oh, I like that they're married. No. Well, if they love each other, they should be married, right? I will say, though, I grew up a fan of both Punk and AJ. So years later, when I found out that they got married, I'm like, that's awesome because those two were my favorites growing up as a teen. Yeah, no, happy for them. Wishing them the best and a happy life. That was awesome, though. I'd love to hear that two of my favorites got together in real life. So, mazel tov. Look at my comments about Triller TV. I must have missed it. You never said anything about Triller TV, Tyler. The Miz and R-Truth versus The Rock and Cena had a great match. The Rock's first match in 7 years, Survivor Series 2011, The Awesome Truth. Of course, Madison Square Garden. Big matchup, big match feel. Kevin asked, what's my favorite frog splash, Eddie or RVD? Oh, man. So, from like an optics standpoint, RVD's looked better, I think. He's got that elevation, got that stretch. But I think from an impact, Eddie's had more, impact to it. I'm probably going to go Eddie Groves. But either one is great. Either one's great. I'm going to side with Eddie. Last year, last year you were talking bad about AEW and Tony Khan. No worries, guys. My favorite pro wrestling is AEW now. Tony Khan is cooking now. Right on. Hey, as long as you're watching pro wrestling, right? I'm a fan of both. I'm more inclined with WWE, as you guys can tell with the content that we produce here on the channel. But that does not mean I don't like AEW. I like AEW. I think their stuff is really good. I think that's really, really good. In ring wise, they've always been great in ring wise. I think it's just the story part of it all is where people kind of criticize them. But lately, I think they've been doing great. RVD got way higher with his frog splash, yes. Plus, he hit Triple H with one of the Elimination Chamber pods. It hurt him for real. Yeah, dude. Yeah. What a spot, too. And it's like that Survivor Series, that first Elimination Chamber, they released like footage prior to the matchup. And Booker T, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Booker T eerily said, like, someone will get hurt. Someone's going to get hurt really bad. And he looks over at Triple H. And it's like, it's very eerie that Triple H was the one that got injured during that matchup. RVD knew how to get the extension and the vertical when it came to the frog splash, which is why I think it's top tier. But I'm still going to go with Eddie, personally. Salvi says, who has the best current frog splash? I don't know. I don't know who does it as a finish anymore. Because I know Dominic does it. Dominic's frog splash has gotten better. I will say that. There was this one on Evolve. I don't know if you guys have seen Evolve. It's on Tubi on Wednesdays. There's this guy who did like a frog splash in the mid-air. It was a frog splash. And at the last second, he changes it into an elbow. So it was like a froggy elbow. I think kind of similar to like what Mark Briscoe does. I thought that was cool. Sammy says Jeff Hardy Swanton Bomb all day. Dude, what a finish. He called it the Crouton Bomb for the longest because it was just so stiff. But yeah, the Swanton Bomb is one of the coolest finishers too. We love Jeff Hardy here on the channel as well. Thank you, Sammy. Tyler says, you were watching MLW last night. Then you were watching the AEW pay-per-view. Shout out. Shout out. But yeah, no, for AEW, a lot of championships were retained. Moxley retained his title. What's going on, Power World? Moxley retained his title. Kenny Omega, the new international champion. The Continental Championship is still sticking with Okada. Both women's champions retained their titles. And the tag titles, of course, were retained as well. Trainer says when Santino Marella called Batista, yeah, dude, Santino Marella, again, one of, like, the funniest wrestlers there is, man. And he's still going at it, too, as the DOA of TNA. Not much, just relaxing. Love to hear it. We love to hear it. Relaxing on a Sunday. We love it. Tony says, dude, Santino. Yeah. And San Fran and Tony both had the same mindset. John Cena. Great, dude. Santino's another guy, Hall of Famer. I know probably didn't have the best catalog of matches, but just based off of influence and just like legacy in terms of like character, great. Love Santino. Also has the record for the shortest time in the Rumble. Power says, who's your favorite? My favorite wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels, number one. My top three, though, would be Shawn. Number two, Eddie Guerrero. Or, sorry, number two, CM Punk. Number three is Eddie Guerrero. Those are my three favorite of all time. What about you? What's your favorite? Or who's your favorite, I should say? The Rock, solid. The Rock, ironically enough, is number 4 for me. Number 4. The Rock was one of the early instances of like me getting into pro wrestling. I grew up watching SmackDown when it was back like on UPN, back on Thursdays. And The Rock was one of the first stars that really I gravitated towards. Love the persona, the confidence, the gimmick, the mic work, the in-ring work. How could you not? Bret Hart. I mean, come on. We literally had this conversation too. My brother and I talked about this earlier today when we were out at the store. And we were talking about who were considered the greatest of all time. And Bret Hart, man, all around great performer. Great pick there. What's your favorite Bret Hart match or your favorite Rock match? Salvi says it's like asking who has the best super kick. Nobody has the sharpshooter at the ultimate finisher. Yeah. Oh, that's true. But the sharpshooter belongs to Bret, in my opinion. Obviously, the super kick belongs to Shawn. Although it's the sweet chin music, we gotta distinguish that for sure. I like old school stuff. Shout out, dude. That's awesome. And that's where the best comes from, because all the stuff that we watch today, it's coming from then, from the old school. So you always got to give credit to them. Love it. What stinks for me? I was born 1980. By the time I woke up to the world, Hulkamania was running wild. Hard to deny my childhood hero. Hey, I've always said, whatever it is about Hogan and his personal life, people may not like him. I'm not a fan, but I do think it's important to recognize what he has helped with pro wrestling. Hulkamania is a big proponent of WrestleMania, of the way the business is nowadays. So whatever we want to say about him, you still got to acknowledge what he's done for the business. I give him that much credit. The Montreal match where Bret got robbed, it broke my heart. Yeah, dude, I bet. I wouldn't be born until 98, but I could see why Montreal is such a polarizing moment in history. I don't know why, but corporate heel Rock is my favorite version of The Rock. That's not weird. I know Hollywood Rock is a favorite, but corporate Rock felt more raw. I gotta give you that one. It's true, because it was like in the infancy of the version of The Rock that we know and love. It was one of the early versions of The Rock. I think it's a great pick. That time from 98 to 99. I love The Rock from like 2000 to 2002. That Rock, for me, is my favorite. But Hollywood Rock is a great one. Corporate Rock is a great one. Hogan had this one cool entrance with the the Hells Angels, yeah. The motorcycle gang. It was wasn't that was it Hog Wild? Or sorry, Road Wild. Road Wild. Wasn't it? I might be wrong. Tony says, and where I lived, all I had access to was WWF, no other promotions. I mean, top promotion, right? But still, it's good to know about other promotions. But even then, not a bad wagon to hitch to, because they're one of the oldest ones still standing in North America. That was when Rock had a flat top, yeah. Okay, Doink, Bam Bam, Jake Roberts, Diesel, Taker, Yoko, Lex Luger. Yeah, so we're talking like, what is that? New generation era, basically? That's cool. Hey, Salvi, I was going to read that. 90s. Yeah. Like the early 90s. Because Doink, Bam Bam, Jake, Diesel. I mean, that's a great era, too. Kevin says a week ago, I went to my first live event. It was an AEW show. They were in MGM Music Hall in Boston. I have family in Boston, so I decided to go. Oh, that's awesome. How was it? How would you enjoy your experience there, Kevin? That's awesome to hear. Early and mid 90s. Yeah. Yeah, the new generation era. So from like 1990 to like 95-ish. But my favorite is the Attitude Era. Yeah. You're not wrong. The star power, the moments. Yeah. I caught the Attitude Era like at the very end, but again, I can't really count it. I mean, do I count it? I started watching wrestling when I was like 2. I've been watching it since I was 2, and that would have been in 2000. But my memory really retains from 2003 and on. From 03 to now, that's what I remember, for sure. But I know for a fact I was watching since the 2000. So I'm more of like a ruthless aggression kid. But I love the Attitude Era. Nothing beats that. You're right. You're right. Although I will say, I don't think the ruthless aggression era is that far behind. Salvi says, off topic, but would you watch the movie No Holds Barred? I watched it as a kid and review the movie. I've never seen it. But you know what, Salvi? Because you had mentioned the the possibility of like reviewing the movies and ranking them. And I think that might be a possibility because early on in the infant stages of this channel, we were a movie channel. Very much in the movies. You guys already know. You've seen this. And we recently bought, again, for people who are just joining us, we recently bought They Live, which stars Roddy Piper, Keith David as well, one of John Carpenter's classic. Maybe we watch the movie and we review them. No Holds Barred. I haven't seen it, so that would be a fresh take for me. Never seen No Holds Barred, but I like the idea. I like the idea, Salvi. Thank you so much. Stone Cold, DX, Autotype, yeah. Autocorrect is crazy. But I knew what you meant. DMX, I love DMX too, though. But DX, yeah. What do you think of Maven? So Maven obviously wins the original Tough Enough. Didn't really get a fair shake in the WWE. He was there for a quick cup of coffee. But I think in terms of his videos nowadays, what he's doing on YouTube is fascinating because it's really providing an in-depth look of the behind the scenes of pro wrestling. Some of his questions are not questions. Some of his topics are a little out there. They're a little crazy. Like I know there was one he was talking about a hookup culture in pro wrestling, so maybe it's a little out there. But yeah, he's big on YouTube. He is. He is. Give him credit. I give him credit. But I think his most famous moment, obviously, is like the Royal Rumble, the elimination of the Undertaker. Stone Cold was to be originally in 12 rounds. I heard. Yeah, no, I think that's correct. I think I've heard something similar, Salvi. So yeah, he had the Condemned, but that's funny because 12 rounds was on the other day on TV. He's very well spoken. He is, and it's refreshing to hear people within the business being so well spoken. I'm not by any means saying most wrestlers aren't well spoken, but it seems like he could be like a teacher. Maybe I'm wrong, but did he not have like a background in teaching? I feel like he did. Like I might have heard that somewhere. The Hardy brothers, yeah, the Hardys and the Dudleys. Those are the two greatest tag teams of all time, in my opinion. My personal favorites are the Hardys, but I got to give the Dudleys credit too. But I think they're two of the greatest of all time, no doubt. Yes, yeah, dude. It's two of the greatest of all time. Shout out to PA World over here, dude. Like coming out with the great comments and the great questions and Hardy Boys. Jeff was crazy, still is, man. Jeff Hardy's gonna be in a ladder match, on Friday, I think. Yeah, on this Friday for Sacrifice. Sammy says Edge and Christian too, dude. First of all, great point there, Sammy. But to think that there was an era in wrestling where you had Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudleys all at one time, and then you had the series of TLC matches between them. Crazy. It's crazy. But agreed. Three of the all-time greats. I can't believe Adam Copeland is the first actor to be nominated for a great award. Is he? Is he really? I don't know. I haven't kept up with the awards for them. PA World says, I don't watch WWE anymore. Dude, you might have to start. Get back on the train. When was the last time you watched? Because you said the Attitude Era was the best. For you, I'm curious now. For you, when did you start to deviate from it? What was around the time that you kind of got away from it? I was a Crazy fan coming up. I'm 37 now. Doesn't mean you can't pop in every now and then, But yeah, no, I've been a fan my whole life. It's hard to give it up. I've always said that I got bit by the wrestling bug and haven't gotten rid of it since. I started watching in 91. And then when did you stop? Or maybe not stop, but like when for you did it start to kind of slow down in your life? Don't like the new stuff. I get it. I get it. Sometimes we don't like change. That's how I'm with music nowadays. I don't listen to music that much anymore. Stopped in like 09. Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah. So I totally get it. In that era of wrestling, yeah, it wasn't good. It was just like hip hop. Yeah. I'm the same way. When it comes to hip hop, music's just not the same. I don't know if that's just us getting older and becoming so nostalgic for what we grew up with, that might be it. But I have to agree with you there. But in terms of 2009, I get it. I get it because in 2009, that's where it kind of started going in terms of the quality. Yeah, it wasn't the best. It didn't pick up until, in my opinion, NXT, which is a developmental territory for WWE. That from like 2014 to 2020, that was their best stuff. Was NXT. But in terms of like WWE's main shows like Raw and SmackDown, it probably didn't pick back up until like 2022, 2021, late 2021. And nowadays it's hot again, dude. Like it's so good. The quality has improved. It's mainstream. Stories are the best they've been in years. The in-ring work is consistently better than like in '09. But I get it. Is wrestling the only topic you talk about? It's the main topic. This is predominantly pro wrestling, but on occasion, I mean, I don't know if you were there for it, but we talked a little about movies. Every now and then, again, the chat dictates it. Every now and then, we bring up basketball, football. Big fan of sports, so basketball, football, main sports for me. Baseball, I dabble in, every now and then, but I'm more lined up with football and basketball. Pro wrestling is number one here. Movies, I'm a big movie fanatic, so we go there as well. Those are really the main topics, really. But the videos themselves are pro wrestling. The chat, we dabble in a little bit of everything. Actually, let's see. Peter World should make back because of what happened. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like wrestling right now is on fire. Who's your favorite rapper of all time? Tupac. I'm always gonna be a Tupac guy. Bay Area legend. Gotta go Tupac Shakur. I'm from India, by the way. Yourself? Yeah, all the way over here in the States, West Side. We're in Arizona. Obviously, for reasons I'm not gonna give you more. But yeah, out over here in the States. Let's see. Would consider. Yeah, no, just check it out. YouTube. YouTube is your best friend, especially because they have an extensive library on YouTube on like the WWE Vault. WWE Vault is a great YouTube channel where they just pump out a bunch of old matches or modern matches. So that's YouTube. I think is your best friend. If you have Peacock or Netflix, you can get access to their stuff as well. But YouTube, obviously, for free, you can get a lot of the older stuff and current stuff. Um, which turn was better, Hogan or Cena? That's tough, man. It's tough to say because Cena's is just happening. But if we're gonna take it as a singular event, maybe Hogan. I don't think I can say Cena's the best of all time yet. Because Hogan's was in the middle of his career. Cena's already at the end of it. Hogan's at the middle of his career when it happened. So I don't know. That's tough. I'm biased. I like Cena. I don't think I can say the greatest of all time just yet. It's up there though. But I might have to give it to Hogan because it was in the middle of his career. And Cena's is towards the end. That's just me. Let's see. Yes, sir. Tupac is my favorite rapper. He's the best. He's the best. Who's your favorite diva? Um, All time Trish Stratus. All time Trish Stratus. Right now, because they're not called divas no more. It's been a while, but they're not called divas no more. They're now just superstars. But right now, I'm gonna say Io. Io Sky is my favorite. For people who want to know nowadays. All time Trish though. Trish Stratus. Just subbed. Hey, appreciate that. Thank you for the sub there. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. Stacy Keebler for me legs for days. Keebler, oh yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy world. I just watched Stone Cold. Oh yeah, when Stone Cold Stunner. Never saw that back in the day. Yeah, no, Stone Cold would stun anybody. Remember that one time that Stone Cold stunned like the whole McMahon family in one night? Is Fusi 2 really crazy, or do you think he's playing a character? Everything's a gimmick nowadays, buddy. I saw it today too. Test and Stacy were my favorite back in the day. Yeah, Test and Stacy. Especially when Stacy Keibler was trying to rebrand Test and they were trying to call the fans, his supporters, they were calling them testicles. That's I remember that one vividly. He's done to save her, lol. Appreciate you, Salvi. Thank you so much. Shout out to again. If you guys are wondering what's up with Salvi and how come their name is highlighted and they have a championship title, that's because they're a member of the Main Event Mafia. If you join a membership here, you get first priority with the replies. You also get exclusive content like our polls, quizzes, and other videos as well. I think he stunned her twice. He probably did. I'm from AZ too. Hey, shout out. Shout out from Arizona. Stone Cold Stunner. So you're from Arizona. Did you happen to go to Raw that just came by? Raw came by like in November, and SmackDown was in March of last year. We were able to go to both shows. Were you able to go to those? Stone Cold stunned her to save her, offered her beer. She didn't like the taste, so he stunned her. Yeah, what a classic moment. I remember that. Vince was a genius for coming up with all those scripts and stuff. What a time, right? What a time. Tony, she stunned me every time she was on TV. I went to WrestleMania in Arizona. Did you? Yeah, I did. WrestleMania 26. We were able to attend that. It was my brother, my dad, and I. We were able to go there. Yeah, WrestleMania 26. Well, what I mean, I always go back to the Shawn and Taker matchup as the main event. It's funny that you mentioned that. There's a there's a moment on the pay per view. You can spot me, my brother, and my dad like walking in the background. So we're on TV for like a quick blink and you miss it type of moment. I have it in the shorts. I made a short of it, but we're on TV. You know, you see us walking. Obviously, we were younger. This was like what 15 years ago. But yeah, it was a cool moment. I like to brag that whenever they come to town, we're always on TV. There's always a spot of us on TV. But yeah, that's awesome. I was little when I used to watch that stuff with my family, and I can't tell you how crazy I was for Trish. I think still. What's crazy is like Trish Stratus was teaming up with Tiffany Stratton on this last PLE, and she could be her mom, but like she doesn't look like it. It's crazy. She's in great shape. Very good for her. Did you know life was part of the train? LOL. Who was a part of the train? Oh, Lita. Yeah, Lita was in there. Yeah, yeah, Lita was. And then wasn't Victoria? I think was one as well. I haven't been to a live event, but I want to go. Yeah, dude. I suggest. I suggest. It's cool, man. Every time they go, we try to. We try to go. Uh, the screen painting back there. It's beautiful. I actually sub to your channel, brother. Hey, thank you so much for the subscription. Appreciate the sub, buddy. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, the scream actually, shout out to my sister. My sister painted that for me. So yeah, she's very talented when it comes to painting and drawing. So she actually painted that for me. But again, thank you for the sub. Thank you so much, buddy. Lita, yeah, that was Lita. Matt's girlfriend. Yeah. Kicking myself not going to WrestleMania in Philly last year. It's tough. It's tough, dude. That's rough. Let's see. Scary movie. Or is it the scary movie? No, it's Scream. It's Scream. You got it right. It's beautiful, bro. Appreciate that. Again, that's all her work. I gotta give her. I gotta give her credit. I gotta give her credit. Shout out to my sister. My wife got me Bad Bunny tickets instead for Christmas. Good show, but would have preferred Mania. Damn. I mean, either way, good show. We love Bad Bunny here on the channel too. But WrestleMania 40, dude. Eek. I mean, it's tough though nowadays because it's like, do you go to both nights or just one night? Because those tickets are pricey, dude. Like they're coming to Vegas and we're like a state away, but it's like ooh man, they're pricey as hell. I'm just gonna watch it here at home, get the whole experience, the whole broadcast and everything, replays. Tough, tough. You deserve more subs. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. We're trying to grow, continuing to support with the subscriptions, the likes, the comments, the shares. Everything helps, so I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much, buddy. Do you gamble? Occasionally. I try not to because you got to know when to stop, but occasionally I will gamble, yes. I'm okay. I'll just leave it at that. I'm okay. Could be better. WWE and UCF or UFC tickets? Because we're talking college or are we talking UFC? Dude, just in general, tickets in general are expensive. How much are we talking? I don't know. It depends. For like WrestleMania, for example, WrestleMania 41, I saw that nosebleed seats, at least at the time when I checked, and this was a couple months ago, was like $6,000 just for like nosebleeders. And that's on one night. That's not even like a two-nighter. They're ridiculous, dude. What do we gamble on? Basketball, football. Those are the two. I stick to what I know. I can't gamble on anything else. What do you gamble on? Yeah. What? Yeah, dude. And again, and maybe it's changed. I don't know. When I had checked a couple weeks or a couple months ago, it was like up to $6,000 for like nosebleeds. So it's like imagine being at the bottom. That's like wow. So happy I found this channel. Salvi, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you. I really do, man. You don't even know. I'm glad it found you too, because you're again one of those members of the chat that are consistently here supporting us. So can't thank you enough. Thank you so much, buddy. I see. I'm a roulette guy. Oh man, roulette's cool. I did it once, but in terms of the casino, because I bet like online gambling, like sports betting. That's what I do. When I've gone to the casino, I've done the slots, blackjack, the roulette I did once, but I'm more of like an online sports betting guy. Where you from? Hey, thank you so much, Sammy. Appreciate the sub, buddy. Thank you so much. Again, we do the live streams on occasion, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. That's been our consistent schedule there. Obviously, we have videos throughout the week. Mondays, we have our episodes of the JRU Wrestling Podcast. Wednesdays and Fridays, we have videos as well. And then every now and then, sprinkled throughout the week, we have our shorts. We have our clips from the videos and our live streams as well. So appreciate the subs, guys. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Thank you. Can't thank you guys enough. In your opinion, what's going to happen? Are they setting up Rock and Roman? Is Austin going to help Cody? Is Cena going to win 17? Tell us what you think is going to happen. Dude, in this world, I could see them all happening. I'll go one by one. Rock and Roman. That's the feud, right? That's the matchup that is going to happen. That, I think, is the end game. Rock and Roman. It's what we've been building up towards for a decade. I thought it was going to happen this year. Obviously not. Next year is a possibility. But it's got to happen. I don't know when, but it has to happen, right? Rock and Roman. It's the match. It's the match that needs to happen. It was going to happen last year, but we made the call as fans, hey, we want Cody. And I think it was the right call to have Cody go over. But Rock and Roman does have to happen. It's the right match. It wasn't supposed to happen last year. In my opinion, that was bad timing. Could have happened this year. Could happen next year. So it's going to happen, though. Is Austin going to help Cody? I think so. I really do, because who else is out there to help Cody? There's no Kevin. Sammy's preoccupied. I don't think Seth is going to get involved. Punk, I don't think is going to get involved. Roman could. I don't think so. Who has the most beef with Rock? Austin. He was the only guy not available last year. I think he makes an appearance. So I think that's right as well. Is Cena going to win 17? I think so, but not at WrestleMania. That's my early prediction, my early spoiler for our prediction video. I don't think he wins the championship at Mania. I do think he wins it maybe at some point during the year. My reasoning is because we have to stretch this out. I think we're going to see Cena become more desperate to win that title, become more of a bigger heel, essentially. He could win at WrestleMania. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you ask me right now, I don't think he wins yet. Not yet. Tampa, Florida. Shout out to Salvi. Wish I could paint. I would totally paint that scary movie pic. It's, dude. I wish I could paint too, honestly. Maybe with practice. What do I think about Mick Foley? Sammy, okay, real quick, I'll get to that. But Sammy says Randy should help. Randy should help, but I think he's going to be preoccupied with Kevin Owens. But I think Randy's a solid pick. Him and Cena have history. Him and Rock have never faced except at WrestleMania 20 when it was a handicap match. So that'd be awesome. Mick Foley. I think Mick Foley's one of the best. I'm a huge supporter of Mick Foley because what he's done for wrestling. This is a guy who put his body on the line day in and day out for the entertainment of the fans. He threw caution to the wind, didn't mind what was going to happen to him because it was for the entertainment of us. And he was a fan growing up just like us. The versatility, being able to perform as three distinct characters, Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and Mankind, all offering their own unique personality and their unique stories. The times where he would come out as one character, or rather, all three characters in one time. For example, the Royal Rumble in 98, the street fight in Madison Square Garden, where he had all three phases of Foley together. Versatility is the word I would use with Mick Foley. Could go in the ring with psychology, could brawl, have a hardcore match, and at the same time, maintain that interest and the emotion of the audience. Mick Foley, bar none, is one of the greatest of all time. And I think he's one of the greatest baby faces ever because his ability to have us, again, become invested in him emotionally. For me, that's wrestling. Emotion. We love the matches. We love to see them do the maneuvers. But for me, it's the story because I want to be invested in what they're doing. If I don't care what these guys are fighting for or I don't have a dog in the fight, why should I care? And Foley was one of those guys where, oh, I cared. I cared, man. Thank you for the question, though. Awesome. Tony has a theory. Tony says CM Punk has sold his soul to the final boss. Acts really mad at Seth to throw us off. Maybe. I think there's a possibility that, yeah, it could have been Punk, but I think for his character, it wouldn't make sense. Punk has had beef with Rock since like 2013, since 2012, really. And he doesn't strike me as the type to join this, corporate Cena and corporate Rock. So I don't think so. For me, personally. But not a bad theory. It could happen. I mean, hey, Cena turned heel, so who knows? But I don't think so. I used to hate Mick coming up, but he was a tough, he was a tough cookie, man. Mick Foley. Besides, Shane McMahon was tough too. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. No, and he agrees too that Mick was crazy. He was ready to die in there, literally. But I do agree with you in the sense that Shane McMahon doesn't get his due either. You know, we talked about Shane a little bit too earlier in this stream, though. If you guys haven't seen, make sure to go back in the archives. It will be available in the future following the conclusion of this stream. Shane McMahon and what he was able to do, or rather, what he wasn't able to do, he made up for with that daredevil-like mentality, putting his body on the line. This guy earned the respect of a lot of people in the back and a lot of fans across the world with the stunts that he was putting his body through. Shane McMahon, for me, is my favorite McMahon. You know, if we're talking about Linda, Stephanie, Shane, and Vince, Shane's my favorite McMahon. Just crazy. That's exactly why, because now he's like, I didn't come back to right to the top. Tony, and it's like, again, I can't argue with you in that because when Punk first returned, his first, like one of his first promos back, it might have been his first promo back, either that or the second one. But he said at the conclusion of it, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. So it's not a bad theory. It's not a bad theory. But I just go back to the Punk character. And he doesn't strike me as the type to sell his soul to The Rock. He does have a favor. We still haven't seen that favor with Paul Heyman. So that'll be interesting. I don't know, though. I don't think so. Again, that's my opinion. But you're onto something here in terms of the I didn't come back to not get to the top. Not wrong either. I have a question. Go for it, Muhammad. Salvi says, I know a favorite of yours, but where do you think Eddie would fit in the current storyline? I mean, Dominic, right? Anything with Dominic for sure. But okay, Salvi, help me out here. In the current storyline, are we talking just in general WWE, or are we still talking about The Rock and Cena stuff? I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. How often do you do live streams? Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays. We always do it about 8 or 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So because you're subbed, thank you again for that. Appreciate that, buddy. I always put it ahead of time, with a post in the community tab or a scheduled live stream. But Sunday, Monday, Thursday, that's when we go live, buddy. Yeah, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Sunday's kind of a hangout, just a discussion. Monday, we talk about Monday Night Raw. And then Thursday is our Throwback Thursday stream where members of the channel get to vote for the topic because we have a poll and they get to vote for the topic. And on Thursday, just a certain topic is discussed. Last week we had Eddie Guerrero. The week before was Macho Man and his relationship with Miss Elizabeth. So those are interesting. How can I watch AEW Revolution pay-per-view again? I accidentally passed out. Well, if you already bought the pay-per-view, I don't know if you've already, if you purchased the pay-per-view, it should give you the option to rewatch it. If you didn't buy the pay-per-view, however, I believe it's available still on Amazon Prime Video or YouTube or Triller TV. Those are usually the popular outlets for the pay-per-view. I know usually I go YouTube. I might try Prime Video. I didn't get to watch the show. By the time I was available to watch it, it was already halfway through and I didn't want to watch it from there. We'll catch the replay. But it should be available on Prime Video, Triller TV, or YouTube, or whatever your pay-per-view provider is. It should give you that option. If you haven't already bought it, that is. We said that. Mariana Ortiz, shout out in the chat there. I did not really like Cody winning at Mania. I wanted Roman to retain. You're probably not the only one. A lot of people liked Roman and they wanted that title reign to continue. I will say, me personally, I wanted Cody to win. I understood if he lost, I got why, but I think Cody winning was the right call. You didn't like him winning, that's okay. You're entitled to that. Roman's great too. I hate to break it to you though, I don't think Roman's going to win that title anytime soon because he had it for 4 years. But hey, we still support Roman, and we're looking forward to what his matchup is going to be at WrestleMania 41. I'm thinking it's Seth Rollins, but for Mariana in the chat there, what's your favorite match of Roman Reigns, or maybe a moment since you were so invested in that storyline? I'm curious to hear. And where you think Eddie could bit? Oh, okay, Salvi. In where I think Eddie would do best other than Dom. Oh, okay. That's a good one here. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see him feud with Andrade. Off the top of my head. Have him on SmackDown with Andrade and try to be like a mentor to him. Where it's like, I see the potential in you. You need to step up your game. So maybe he challenges to a couple of matches and just trying to get something out of Andrade. I would like to see a series of matchups between him and Eddie. I think Eddie could pass some knowledge along to Andrade, get him elevated up the card, and use his legacy, his name, to give Andrade a bit of a rub. Immediately, that's one of the first, thought processes that I'm going through is have him and Andrade go through it, have some matches, put him over the top. Because I think Andrade is a great talent. He has all the talent of the world, but I want to see a little bit more. And that's in due part to him and to the creative. So that's immediately where I would put him at, truthfully. Tony in the chat, I see you. Catch y'all tomorrow. Thanks for the stream. Hey, thank you, Tony. Appreciate it as always. We'll see you then Monday. Thank you so much, buddy. Muhammad says, oh, hold on. I skipped PA World. I wonder what so many wrestlers' mental health is like considering the kind of stuff they take to look like what they did. Benoit's the perfect example. It's sad. It really is. It's a great point there, though, by PA World. It's interesting. It's fascinating to see what maybe the brain health, right? Just mentally, the structure of it all. It's a scary thing, and I know they're trying to do better in terms of the the protection of the wrestlers. But yeah, Benoit's a perfect example of the long-term effects of pro wrestling. It's sad. Mom says I have OTT Platinum. Oh, I don't know. I'm not familiar with OTT, to tell you the truth. At the time, I wanted Roman to win. Now I think Cody winning was the right call. I agree, Jose. Shout out, Kevin. Thank you so much. But it's like, again, hindsight being 2020. But I think it was the right call. It was the best time to pull the plug on Roman. I think so. You didn't want it to go too long, but he was on the verge of breaking Hogan's record at SummerSlam. So, but I think it was the right call. Him and the Bloodline winning all the gold, that was a good moment. And seeing the entrants come out, everyone has the championships. The tag team champions, the Uso, the North American champion, Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, 2 titles, Sami Zayn, Paul Heyman. Great moment. Great moment. Shout out to Mariana. They're awesome. What about Chad in the storyline with Andrea? I mean, that's good work too. Yeah, you know what? That's not bad either. Eddie Guerrero, I mean, that would probably work, honestly. I want to see him with Andrade, but him with Chad Gable and teaching him the ways of Lucha Libre, that could work too. That could work too. But I don't want to see any more groups, I will say. When will Cena appear on Raw? On Raw, I believe it was March 17th. He's actually scheduled to appear March 17th. And it's going to be like in the middle of their European tour on Monday Night Raw. I believe it's March 17th, Sammy. Maven clearly talks about it on his YouTube channel. That's another thing too. Shout out there. But Maven provides an extensive knowledge of the business from his perspective, both as a wrestler and as a consumer, as a fan. And I think that's why it's so beneficial to have people like Maven who had time, although it was short, his time in the WWE clearly meant something because he has this knowledge that he can pass on to the fans and give us a little bit of a sneak peek behind the curtain. Maven has quality stuff. I agree. Kevin says, I appreciate Cody a lot because he's really putting in the work as a top guy. I mean, he's making the shows, he's making the appearances, having solid matches. What more do you want from a baby? Moving merch? What more do you want? He's a great ambassador for the company, and I think is a great choice to be the face right now. So I agree with you, Kevin. Thank you so much. Who do you think will induct Jericho in the Hall of Fame? Oh, man. It's a good question. I don't know. Because immediately my mind goes to Shawn because of how influential Shawn was to his career and the matches that they had. But then you think about, some of the people other people he's worked with, Ray, but I don't think Ray would induct him. Who would induct him? Shawn is the first one that comes to my mind. And I'm struggling. Who else? What do you think, chat? Who would induct Chris Jericho into the Hall of Fame? Because I'm drawing a blank here. Shawn's the first one that comes to... Well, Shawn's really the only one that comes to my mind. Cody's an unreal talent. I agree. I love Cena, but now I don't know. I don't know any more about him. Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know. The John Cena heel turn, it's going to be great. I can't wait. Shout out to Mariana, though. Appreciate that, though, in the chat. I don't know, man. That Cena heel turn's crazy. I can't wait to see his first appearance, on Raw. Thank you, though. I got to bounce, but hey, it was nice chatting. I have subbed. Looking forward to more stuff by you. Ciao. Hey, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us on the live stream. I thank you so much, man. Thank you for the support. Can't wait to have you more in the chat, and we can discuss more on these live streams. So thank you so much, buddy. Shout out to PA World. Dean Malenko or Fozzy? I don't know about Fozzy. Dean Malenko's an interesting one. Maybe. David Benoit? Yeah, that's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. The Rock and Shawn? Rock is interesting. I think Shawn's a good one, though, Kevin. Tijuana Tacos. Shout out to Tijuana Tacos. Good plug for them. Kevin Owens. I did think about Kevin Owens. I thought about that. Maybe. Kevin's not a bad one. Appreciate P World. P World already subbed. Won't miss out. Thank you so much. Gotta go. Nice chatting with me. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you so much, Mariano Ortiz. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't subbed, hey, consider subbing. That way we can keep up and chatting these other in these other live streams. So thank you so much. New Cena theme coming. Oh yeah. Oh for sure, Sammy. I hope so. Cause this one that he has, My Time Is Now, it's a banger. And it's like how are we supposed to boo this man? I just I don't know. New theme song, new gear, new attitude. It's gonna be a completely new Cena. Maybe a new haircut. Maybe he'll join the club and finally shave his head. Maybe I don't know. I have to ask, what do you think are your WrestleMania matches this year? So aside from the ones that have already been announced, because we know Cena versus Rhodes, I think Io versus Bianca is going to be a triple threat with Rhea. I think Seth versus Roman is a lock. It's just a matter of Punk joining. Is he going to be a part of it? I think Kevin versus Randy is a lock. I think we're going to get some kind of multi tag team matchup for the SmackDown tag titles at WrestleMania, because we've seen all the Street Profits, DIY, the Motor City Machine Guns, Garza. Like we've seen a lot of those guys involved. I think we're going to a multi man match there. Maybe Jade versus Naomi. That could be a matchup as well at Mania. A lot of avenues to go through. Braun Breaker, probably going to have a multi man match for his IC title. Because Penta has been on him. Kaiser's been on him. AJ. Logan Paul maybe faces AJ. Maybe. I don't know. But there's a lot of possibilities. Let's see. Gotta go. Okay. The Rock, because Jericho's debuted with him. True. It's not, and they had a great feud in 01. Maybe. You think Cody versus Cena main events night 2? I do. I can't see it not. Shout out to Tijuana Tacos there. I think it has to. There's not a bigger match than that. This channel is a great sub. Appreciate that, Salvi. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you so much. Whenever I see stuff like that, it really lets me know, hey, we're doing something here. It's a grind to consistently try to grow the channel. I will say the live streams aren't really a grind because it's just laid back. It's a great time to chat with you guys. I look forward to this. Is my favorite part of the channel, are these live streams, just hanging out. But to consistently put out videos that are worth your guys' time, because that's one thing I want to do is value your time. So for you guys who like to spend your time in watching the videos and joining the live streams, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nothing but love and support. It's been great. And we're going to continue to keep pushing forward better content. I don't want to say great content because that would make you think that, hey, we've already made it. No. We want to continue to get better. Continue to grow. And that's been in large part thanks to you guys. So shout out to you guys in the chat. CM Punk should have returned with the WWE, not AEW. Yeah, you know what? But I think it was necessary for him to go to AEW first because it was different. And sometimes you got to get away from one place to realize that you miss it, And it tells you one thing about AEW. For him to actually go to WWE after that, that tells you a lot about his relationship there. But I think it was necessary. It kind of reopened that door, reopened his love for pro wrestling, I think. And then eventually just opened the door back to WWE. So it was necessary. Plus, he got 2 killer returns, right? One on an AEW, return to wrestling, and then a return to WWE. Who can say that? They had 2 killer returns. Appreciate you guys in the chat there. If you're just joining us here on the live stream, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. We talk pro wrestling here predominantly. Obviously, we talked about WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. We have episodes of the JRE Wrestling Podcast that come to you every Monday afternoon, as well as videos on Wednesdays and Fridays. We also have live streams that take place on Sunday. We also have them on Monday and on Thursday, all roughly 8, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If you join the channel and become a sub to the channel, you'll see that we have our community post where we will update you guys as to when and where we're going to be doing our live stream. So again, consider subscribing, consider becoming a Main Event Mafia member where you're going to get exclusive content as well as first priority replies in the comments, as well as those nice custom championships next to your name, such as Salvi's here, who has the beautiful NXT championship signifying that they've been a member for about a month now. So consider joining a membership and continuing to support the channel and allowing it to grow. So thank you so much. Edge should have stayed with WWE. I agree with you, Sammy, 100%. But I do get why. I do understand why Edge left and went to AEW. You want to expand your horizons. You want to try different matches and challenge yourself. Totally get it. Totally get it. But I would have liked to see how he would have been in WWE nowadays. You know, where he would be in the landscape of it all. It is what it is, right? His decision, I respect it, but I would have loved to have seen him stay. Styles versus Eddie would have been fire, dude. Don't even get me started. Two of the all-time greats. AJ, Eddie. A matchup that doesn't even need a story. Literally have those guys go in cold. No build or anything, and they would have tore the house down. Absolutely. Oh my god, that would have been a great match. Eddie versus AJ. Man, this is great. We went into a little overtime. Edge versus Christian should have occurred in WWE. I mean, technically it did. You know, technically. But I see what you mean. Because if we go to 2001, it technically happened. You think we'll see the Demon Finn Balor soon? I don't know about soon, but I do think we'll see him again. Maybe within the next year. Maybe within the next year. Shame on corporate WWE for not believing enough in Christian. Dude, yeah. That's one thing I hated, is that they didn't really believe in Christian. So he leaves to TNA, becomes a star there, wins the NWA championship, and it's like he comes back and he's relegated to ECW. It's like, what are you doing? Like, Christian's great. Christian's one of the most underrated stars that WWE has ever had, and I'm willing to die on that hill. All-time great. Character, in-ring work, all around a great performer. So, I'm inclined to agree with you there, Kevin. And then he goes to AEW and becomes, again, another star. Wins the Impact Championship again, too. Christian versus Eddie now, this year would have been fire. Any year would have been fire. Any year. But to have seen those guys nowadays, like, still, with assuming they're both in great shape, I mean, obviously Christian is, but assuming Eddie's in great shape, the knowledge that they would have, attained over the course of their years and just the veteran leadership, obviously, that those two would have grown to have, Christian versus Eddie would have been great. Any year. But I do think if Eddie was still around, I think he'd be more involved with like the PC as a trainer of some sort. Maybe have his own school? Maybe? I don't know. But I wonder that. I wonder about that a lot. Like, what would Eddie be doing? Rated RKO would have been fire if it happened again. Yeah, I mean, as like a, if they would have happened again, like nowadays, I would like to see them as a heel tag team, facing off the young guns, trying to maintain dominance over the younger members of the roster. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen a Rated RKO nowadays. Sam, I would love to see Eddie still in the WWE working with Dom. Dude, it would be great. I would love it. Him and Dominic would have been great as like a heel tandem, or even as just one-on-one. Any predictions for the Hall of Fame 2025 Bray Wyatt? I don't think Bray goes in just yet. I think they're going to give it some time. Maybe next year. But they have announced that it's going to be Triple H, Michelle McCool, and Lex Luger. We're missing a tag team. I'm thinking Demolition, truthfully. I think Demolition makes it in. For a celebrity wing, I'm still thinking it has to be Cyndi Lauper. I'm a big supporter of Cyndi Lauper. She should be a Hall of Famer as a celebrity, but hasn't happened. I think Demolition is the last one. And then Bray maybe next year. Eddie versus who this WrestleMania other than Dom? Chad Gable, and it goes back to what we were talking about. You know, him and learning the style of lucha libre. What if Eddie was like that final boss for lucha libre facing Chad Gable? I think that'd be an awesome matchup, and the story writes itself. You know, you can plug in Eddie just like that. Historic Guerrero family legacy. Him versus Gable, I think, would be a great matchup. If not him, if not him, selfish reasons, Penta. You know, I think that'd be a cool matchup. But I think Chad. I think it had to be Chad. Truthfully, I like how you say other than Dom because you know that's my go-to. But Chad Gable, I think. If not Andrade, like I said earlier. They could have used Eddie to turn Dom on Ray. Yeah. Then everything we see in Dom now is what we saw in a young Eddie. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of influences him. And he learns from Eddie. Oh man, what long-term storytelling that would have been if Eddie turned Dom against Ray. Love it. Great point there by Sam. Sammy says Dom and Logan would be a fire heel team. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Those guys would get serious heat. Serious heat. What happened if there's no one else to induct? Wait, what happened if there's no one else to induct? What do you mean? Because traditionally they don't have that many. Like I know these last couple of years have been like four inductees. It's usually the main guy, a women's wrestler, the tag team, a celebrity, and then maybe one other guy. Traditionally, so McCool's in, Triple H is in, and then Luger's in. I think the tag team's Demolition, and that last spot I think should go to Cyndi Lauper as a celebrity Hall of Fame. But if not Cyndi Lauper, Regal. I think Regal would be a good one. Do you see Rey Mysterio retiring this year or next year? Next year. I think if it's I don't think it'd be this year because it kind of takes away from John. Not to say it should be a competition between the two, but Ray I think could still go for another year. I'm gonna guess next year. I think Ray retires next year. Sam says Ray could honestly wrestle for 5 more years. Yeah, just depends on his body. At least that's what he said on CVV. Yeah, and the stem cells really helped stretch out his career. Um, I could see him retiring though in the next year or two. 5 years maybe, but I'll say 2026, 2027, around there. DDP and Doug Lex Luger into the Hall of Fame? I think so. I think the call should be Sting. Sting and Luger go way back. I think Sting is the right call. Do they allow it because he's affiliated with AEW? If it's not Sting, Diamond Dallas, 100%. 100%. If it's not Sting, Diamond Dallas. Great point there by Muhammad. Salvi says, what do you think about Eddie having a last match this year versus Cena? I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool because it goes back to the 2003 matchup, the like the parking lot brawl. I think for sure you'd have to. And because Cena has said that Eddie was influential during those early years for John Cena. So if Eddie was still around, I think for sure they would have to have a matchup, one final go, if it was this year. Just like I'm hoping Cena has one final matchup with Randy, Ray, even, because those guys are some of the elder statesmen on the roster. Yeah, absolutely. Ray is once in a generation, 100%. Thank you, Kevin. Once in a generation. Sam says either Sting, DDP, no question. Agreed. It has to be. Sting, I think, is first choice. If, again, the WWE don't permit it, or, again, because of his affiliation with AEW, I think it should be Lex Luger. But they did allow Billy Gunn to appear. So it should be Sting, though. Sam and I agree. Didn't Sting sign a new deal or sign extension? Yeah, I believe he signed like a Legends contract, some kind of ambassador. Is Sting still under AEW's contract? I believe so, Sam. I could be wrong. Someone please feel free to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But I think he has like some kind of like ambassador type of contract with AEW, if I'm not mistaken. I predict when Cena retires, a lot of wrestlers will do the same, like CM Punk. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're onto something here, Sammy. I think people are going to be doing retirement tours. I think that's the right call because it gives you the opportunity to really enjoy them. And it's good marketing too in terms of tickets. It's like, hey, this is their last time being in this city. I gotta be there. I gotta show up. So it is smart in terms of marketing. Let's see. Who's your last match now if you have to right now for Cena? Who's your last match now if you have to right now for Cena? If I have to right now, his last match? I've heard Randy is a very common one. For me, it comes down to two, because you can go either way with this. His last matchup could be against Randy, obviously in reference to their timeless storyline between one another. I think Randy's a great call. Or I think he should put over someone for the future. I think Carmelo Hayes would be a perfect opportunity. I see a lot of similarities in their personalities and the rise. I would like it to be Carmelo Hayes being the guy to get the final rub from Cena. Or Randy, again, putting to rest their long rivalry. Randy or Carmelo. Do you watch WWE and AEW or other companies? I predominantly watch WWE and AEW. I watch TNA every now and then. I try to keep up with their work as well. Um, it's mostly those three. I keep up to date with like the clips. So if it's like GCW, if it's like New Japan, um, sometimes, but it's really the big three: WWE, AEW, and TNA. But in terms of other promotions, yeah, I have like YouTube, Twitter, other avenues that I try to keep up with. But those are the big three. I heard Ric Flair wants. Oh God, no! Tell me you're no, Sammy. You're lying. Tell me you're lying, Sammy. Ric Flair wants another match. Jesus, no! It's over. Why does he keep doing that? I hope you're joking. I'm so over Ric Flair. Great for the business. Don't get me wrong. A legend. But just stop, dude. For me, his last match was WrestleMania 24 against Shawn. You can't have a better ending than that. But he had to go to TNA and have more matches. Why? I don't understand it. I mean, okay, no, I get it. You know, when you get bit by the wrestling bug, you can't let it go. You don't want it to end. I get that. But damn it, Rick, stop. He already had a fake or whatever heart attack during his last match when it was him and Andrade versus Jay Lethal and Jarrett. Like, stop, please, for the love of God. Trick Williams and Braun Breaker. I don't know about Trick. I think Braun Breaker's a good option for Cena. I like that. I like that one. That's good. Imagine he squashes him. He beats Cena like that. That'd be good for Breaker. Ric Flair versus Cena, WWE title in 2025. Great idea. I'm joking. You know what? Why am I not surprised? Can you imagine if it's like Cena wins the title and Rick wants to challenge him to try to get his record back? Like, oh my God, just don't. Just don't, bro. I'm over Ric Flair. But I feel like he was trying to do something too. Ric Flair had like a tweet when Cena won the chamber and was talking about how, like, oh, you'll never be the champion. You'll never break my record. Yeah. Um, that's Vince's booking. We're in good hands now. Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Vince retired. Well, not Vince retiring willingly, but Triple H taking the pen was so good for WWE because the Vince stuff was getting out of hand. From 2020 to 2022, yeah, Vince was losing it, man. Yeah, we're in a way better spot. We're in a way better spot. Your DVD/VHS. How do you mean? When it comes to my DVDs, I don't have any VHSs. I used to, but not wrestling related. All my wrestling stuff is DVD. Actually, and I always talk about it. That I want to do a live stream about those. If that's something people are interested in, I would love to share my wrestling collection with you guys because it is pretty extensive. I mean, I'm sure there's people who have more, of course, but for me, it is pretty extensive, I think. But I would love to share that with you guys. Yeah. Uh, What's your opinion on Vince possibly having a deal aligned with Fox to potentially start a promotion? Dude, there have been rumblings about that for months now. I don't know. Do you think he'll do it? I mean, rumors that he's going to start his own wrestling promotion, but it's like it's a risk. But you know what? Screw it. I want to see it. I want to see just what it would be like. How crazy would that be? Vince starts up another startup. Oh my god, that's crazy. I kind of want to see it now, just for the madness, just for the chaos, just to see it happen. Why not? But I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah, I see you says I wouldn't put anything past him. He could bring in many indie stars and turn them into stars. I mean, hey, and not only that, but I feel like Vince is the kind of guy where he has so many other like past wrestlers who kind of are, what's the word here I'm looking for, loyal to Vince, and they'll support it. He's crazy enough to do it. He is crazy enough to do it. I believe when you get up there in age, it's time to hang up the boots. I think you should know. You know, if you're physically struggling or it's just not there anymore, or the way the crowd reacts, Jericho, you should know when to call it. And Flair, man, dude, it's over for Flair. I'm with you, Sammy. Salvi says, I like to see your DVDs. I have some myself. Yeah, no, I would love to. I would love to. Maybe we'll save that for another live stream. Because these Sundays are kind of the hangout. So maybe next week. Maybe next Sunday. Exactly. He can use the loyal guys like Taker possibly to show up and promote guys literally. Not only that, but then you're gonna use guys like Taker. People are gonna watch. If Taker shows up, I'm gonna watch just because it's Taker. So it's a smart promotional tactic by both. I wouldn't put it past him. You gotta give him credit too. I think Taker is more loyal to Vince than WWE itself. I think so. I think so. He's made it very apparent that he looks at Vince like a father figure. You know, he's voiced that opinion in interviews, in documentaries. So yeah, I think, and that's exactly who I was thinking of too when we talked about loyalty. Um, Taker, for sure, I think is the one that would definitely line up with him. Right on, Sam. Sam, dude, Sam's locked in. You and I agree on this. But am I wrong though, Sam? Would you not check it out if Vince created a separate company on Fox and had like the Undertaker pop up? Would you not check it out? I mean, I kind of would. I would. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, how can you not? It's just the intrigue in itself. Sammy says WrestleMania will be fire this year. I think so, man. I mean, there was a time being where a lot of people were kind of hesitant about WrestleMania this year, saying, "Oh, the build isn't what it is. It's going to be lackluster." It's going to be big. I really think so. The main event, Cena Rhodes, huge. The women's matchup, if it's a triple threat, huge. Roman versus Seth, huge. It's like they're in. I trust the process. I'm with you 100% there, Sammy. I'm looking forward to it. For those in the chat who are new, WrestleMania falls April 19th and April 20th. What a birthday gift. My birthday happens to be April 19th. We're going to watch WrestleMania that weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, you guys will look forward to it and we can come back on these streams here and we'll talk about it, man. It should be great, though. I'm with you. Vince versus Tony on Fox. I'd pay for it. Actually, I feel like it's more Triple H versus Tony. But Vince versus Tony would be cool. Sam says there are a few executives he has talked to who are exclusively loyal to him, and he has asked a few camera guys within other workspaces and asked them if they could record wrestling content. Dude, I don't doubt it. What would he call it, though? Oh, that's what I'm wondering. What would he call it? Because he's starting from scratch. You know, it's going to be all new name, all new talent, with the exception of loyalties. Sam says WCW. That's hilarious. Yeah, if only he had the rights to that, huh? Isn't that crazy to think that he ran the biggest, most successful pro wrestling promotion of all time, and he doesn't even have a stake in it anymore? That's amazing. He no longer owns anything he created. It's crazy. Think about that. What if you spent a whole lifetime forging your legacy in a promotion for it to no longer be associated with you? I mean, like, obviously we can talk about it, like, oh, Vince did this, but like in terms of legal, he doesn't have a say in it anymore. That is crazy. He no longer owns anything he created. That's right. 50 years of blood literally put into a company gone. It's, yeah. I've always said I thought Vince was going to leave the WWE by dying. I did not think he was going to willingly retire or sell it. I thought he literally was going to have to die. You know, he was never going to let it go. But the way it happened, yeah, it's crazy. Still can't believe it. When we first saw the tweet that Vince, it was like in June of 2022 where he had tweeted that, like, oh, it's time to retire or whatever. It's like, damn, who would have thought, man? Like, wow, what a time. And then for him to appear on SmackDown and like Stephanie was starting the whole thank you Vince chant, it was out of pocket in my opinion. So who can beat Tony in a new wrestling? Well, I mean, WWE's beating them right now. Triple H. Probably. I think when Stephanie stepped down, when he came back, that was a huge sign. Or that was a sign that he knew it was over. Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. That whole relationship with Stephanie, um, getting the promotion, stepping down until she finally just stepped away. And now, for the first time ever, there are no McMahons attached. No Linda, no Shane, no Stephanie, no Vince. Yeah, technically Triple H is married into the family, but he's not a McMahon. He's a I was gonna say he's a Helmsley. He's Paul Levesque. So there's no one there. I'm missing Vince. I loved his "You're fired." Hey, again, separating the character from the real person, Vince as the heel authority figure is crazy. I mean, all-time great heel. I think it's the greatest heel character of all time. That Vince McMahon character, the authority figure, set the groundwork for what was like the typical authority figure. Right? Greatest heel of all the time, in my opinion. Sam says, I would love your opinion actually on Shane trying to dive into AEW, then declined by Tony. So here's the thing. I'm about to move this, hold on. When the picture came out that Shane McMahon was seen in a meeting with Tony Khan. Obviously, for those who are familiar with the story, you know what I'm talking about. The picture's weird because it's like Shane McMahon is leaning over a table or a desk of some sort, talking with Tony Khan, not amused by a camera, and then you see Tony turn to the camera almost caught off guard as if someone from paparazzi just popped into the room, and it's like that's not gonna happen, right? And then I believe the Young Bucks were seen taking pictures with Shane, and these rumors of him joining the company in some kind of a position, maybe as a consultant of some sort. I haven't heard of the whole Tony declining it. I didn't hear that part. In fact, I didn't hear about the aftermath. I just knew they met up. But if Tony is declining that, that's crazy. Because I think what Tony needs is to have people who are familiar with the business. And Shane, familiar with the business, it's in his blood. Working with his dad, working with Vince, having a big say in the WWE.com aspect of it all. It's said that Shane was one of the early proponents of like the network being a thing. I think it would really benefit Tony to have a guy like Shane who has the knowledge and the perspective in the company. I do think it would benefit him. I don't know why Tony has become so stubborn in that it has to be him. He can have the final say, but he should have a level of advisement from other people who have that wealth of knowledge of the business. I think. What do I know? I don't run the business, right? Vicente says, I should join NXT. Do it. Do it. If you can, do it. Shane could run AEW. Shane could run AEW better than Tony. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, who knows? Sam says, I believe I heard that on 83 Weeks. Eric Bischoff. Love Bischoff. Not too sure how solid the info is, but it is being talked about. I don't doubt it. Like I said, I didn't hear about it, but I wouldn't doubt it. You guys already know that my favorite saying, for those who are familiar with the stream and the channel, my favorite saying is where there's smoke, there is fire. So if there's a little inclination or any kind of signs of truth to it, hey, maybe there's something there. Dethroned by Eli. What happened to Christian? I feel like the patriarchy appears once every 3 months. Why isn't AEW consistent with storylines? Have you noticed that? No, I've noticed that. What they try to do is it's their way of nuance. It's supposed to be long-term storytelling. Christian won the contract at like All In, and we would see him sporadically every now and then. But it's like he's not competing in matches. He's barely being interviewed. Not really focused in storylines. What happened to Luchasaurus or Killswitch? I understand it was some sort of like an injury or a health scare that has sidelined him, but I would like a little bit of reference there. We don't really see Nick Wayne on matches either. It's inconsistent. I feel like what Tony does is it's whatever's the shiny toy at the moment. And if it's the shiny toy at the moment, it's going to get spotlight. And for anybody else in the back, they're not going to get that much. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be like everybody has a spotlight. It's just how do we focus more on the others? But with Christian, he's become a background player. I mean, obviously he was in the main event tonight, but in totality, it could be handled a lot better. Tony wants to be the final boss. He really does. He really does. But there's been reports too that like they had kiboshed the Young Bucks storyline where it was like the Young Bucks and Okada running the show because Tony didn't want people to think that anybody but Tony was running the show. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but he didn't want on air authority figures because he wants people to know I'm the one running the show. It's like Tony, we get it, bro. He kind of strikes me as insecure sometimes, but again, I don't know the guy, don't know him. Sam says this is my first time being here, so I don't know your takes on things, but I'm very interested in and love talking wrestling. That's what it's all about, Sam. I appreciate that so much, and thank you for the sub, by the way. That's what it is. We just talk pro wrestling, just hanging out. I'd love to get your perspective as well on these things. We do have the videos throughout the week. Please feel free to comment, like, and share to get other people's perspective as well. But that's what I genuinely enjoy about these live streams is connecting with people through a common bond of pro wrestling. It's great. I love to hear your guys' take. I love to share mine. I'm the kind of person though where it's like I'm an open book. I'm not gonna willingly shove down like, oh hey, Tony Khan doesn't know what he's doing. That's not my bag. That's not my gimmick. But if you ask me, I would love to share my opinions with you guys. I'm still getting in the hang of things where I'm getting comfortable sharing my thoughts, sharing my opinions, sharing my face on camera. So we're getting there, and I appreciate the support and thank you for the sub and the kind words there, Sam. Thank you so much. We welcome you to the community, to the J Area Wrestling community, and we're glad to have you. So thank you so much for the sub again, and thank you for the great conversation, great talking points, and great questions. By the way, too, the Tony Khan stuff very fascinating because we don't talk a lot about AEW. We talk a lot of WWE here, but I welcome the AEW discourse. It should be happening. It's not the only show in town, the WWE. So it's refreshing to have that conversation. So thank you for that again. Sam says, I think AEW is not quite there with storytelling. Funding wise, they're good. But it's hard for me to buy into the stories because they fall off week by week. I agree. It was mentioned earlier in the stream by Tyler, who said that this is his favorite promotion because of the in-ring work. And if you want in-ring work, AEW might be for you. They have immense talent in the ring and could put on a great pay-per-view. But where I think they lack, like you said, Sam, I agree, is the storytelling. The match itself, of course, it's the main part of wrestling is the match. But you know how much more business, how much beneficial it would be to hook these people in with the story. If you were able to get invested in a story, it means so much more. And think about it this way: for guys in the ring that are doing all these maneuvers and showcasing their talents, absolutely, as you should. You have the skill, you have the will. Why not? think about how much less you could be doing if you're invested in the story. Look at, for example, you see I'll use an example here. Gravity and Hologram had a matchup, and it was on Collision. And there was all these flips and all these moves. It was great. It was cool, right? If you're into that, I'm into it. I liked it. And the crowd popped because they did all these maneuvers, flipping counters, maneuvers, aerial assaults, whatever. But then you look at a guy like The Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 18. Maybe it's not a fair comparison because of the star quality, but all those guys did was just look at each other in the ring and the crowd was losing it. Sometimes it's the moments that matter. AJ Styles had an interview with CVV. I love Chris Van Vliet. If you haven't seen or listened to his podcast, Insight, do it. It's great. Great stuff. He interviewed AJ Styles and talked about how it's the moves, it's the moments that make the moves. Storytelling is everything, I think. Sammy says, my favorite modern finisher is the Haluva kick from Sami Zayn. It's pretty cool. And a cool name, too. Haluva kick. Mine is probably, I think the RKO is one of the best. But in terms of modern, Claymore is pretty good, man. I like the Claymore. But RKO, I gotta go RKO. I know it's not really a modern one. RKO. Thank you for that, though, Sammy. That's an awesome one. Sam says, yes, exactly. There have been better matches. I will watch an AEW or New Japan match before I watch WWE matches, but I keep up with this WWE week to week because of the ongoing story. AEW doesn't do that for me. You're right. 100%. 100%. Salvi says, Sam Lee, welcome to the channel. I appreciate that. Sam says, thank you. Hey, thanks. See, and again, that's another thing, too. When it was building this channel and building this community, I wanted to give people an opportunity to not only, interact with me, but interact with each other. And to see the discourse in the chat, it has been the greatest experiment. We haven't had any bad experiences. I mean, maybe the occasional, hate comment every now and then, but very rare. Very rare. We have a great community here of people, like minded fans, and fans of other eras, fans of different promotions, all ages, genders, backgrounds, so diverse. I love it. Absolutely love it. If you guys could give yourself a hand, do it because you guys make the streams what they are, and I appreciate it so much. I really do. We're gonna run on here for a couple more minutes here, man. We were going for almost 3.5 hours. What a stream, huh? We've been going for a minute there. Love it though. Awesome though. Modern finisher for me is honestly Braun Breaker's spear. It hits different. Yeah. Rhino with the gore or Goldberg in the old days. He has a great spear. I know people people criticize Jey Uso's spear, but it's because if you were to put it up against Braun Breaker's, Braun Breaker got a spear. Love the way he builds up that speed, by going back and forth on the ring and building up that momentum. His spear on I Show Speed, dude. I was against I Show Speed being in the Rumble. I was one of those guys where I'm like, don't put him in the Rumble. It's a wasted spot. Give it to someone who deserves it. So when they had Akira Tozawa get knocked out of the Rumble and I Show Speed took it immediately, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, you're wasting it. But then to see him get speared by Braun Breaker, ooh, they changed my mind. I was like, that was amazing. What a spear. Knocked him clean out of his shoes, essentially. He got a gnarly little scratch there on his leg. I thought he was concussed. On the post-reaction stream, I was talking about how I would not be surprised if he was concussed. What a spear. Non-wrestlers doing the Canadian Destroyer is my favorite finishers. Yeah, Bad Bunny. Dude, what about Penta with the Mexican Destroyer? Wow, what a maneuver. Mexican Destroyer, Canadian Destroyer. Shout out to Petey Williams. Unfortunately, people don't protect their finishers anymore. So my favorite finisher of all time is the Sweet Chin Music. Yeah, that's a good point though. People don't really protect their finishers anymore. They just spam it. I think Sam. I think the perfect example is like AEW. A lot of those maneuvers are like just spammed, and it's okay every now and then. But it's like you're right. I think maneuvers should definitely be protected more. I agree with you there. What are your thoughts on Travis hitting Cody for real? Oh, dude, I got opinions on that. So here's my thing. Uh, oh, I see you. Okay, so Sam says, sorry for cursing if that's not allowed. I don't mind it. It's just sometimes the chat will like censor it. But I see you said too many holy moments. It's no longer a holy S moment. You can curse. I choose not to. But it's like, it doesn't bother me. It's just sometimes the chat will censor you. Anyway, Sammy has a great point here. Thoughts on Travis Scott hitting Cody Farrell? I have opinions. So when I first saw Travis Scott coming out with The Rock at the Elimination Chamber, immediately I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Oh, no worries, Sam. You don't have to retract it, but it's no worries. It's all good. But I get it. Hollywood Rock, and it's one of those things where he's trying to present the Hollywood feel, right? He's a heel. I totally get it. What I didn't like is how Travis Scott almost went into business for himself. What I mean by that is there was a moment where The Rock instructed John Cena to take Cody's legs and Travis to take his arms and pin him against the ground so The Rock could whip him with the belt. What he then did is he starts lifting up Cody in like this dramatic fashion as if he's the one feuding with Cody. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. You're not the one with the beef. And John gets wind of this and he pushes Cody back down, almost instructing Travis as like, what are you doing? Like, dude, like stick to the plan. And so he pins Cody down. And Cody, mind you, has his face on the mat, defenseless, and is expecting to be whipped by The Rock's training belt. And Travis Scott delivers an unprovoked slap to Cody that reportedly, busted his eardrum, but then left him with a black eye. I mean, you guys saw SmackDown, I'm assuming. What a hit. And I'm like, what the hell is Travis Scott doing? Like, you're not the main focal point of this. It's The Rock, it's John Cena. You're there for literally the media attention. You're trying to pull in the attention of the news outlets. So I didn't like that he slapped Cody. And immediately, if I'm a member of the roster, I'm looking at Travis crazy, like that's our champion. And you're just gonna slap him all willy-nilly. And Cody looked like he was caught off guard. And it wasn't like he could absorb the hit. Like when you get I saw a video of Stevie Richards, who has a YouTube channel, and he talked about when you get slapped, you can move your head and kind of, cushion it. Cody's face is on the mat, so he has nowhere to go. It's just a straight slap. If I'm Cody, I'm looking to dish out a receipt. High key. I'm looking to dish out a receipt. I don't know how he's going to do it, whether it's his own slap, but Cody needs to deliver some kind of receipt. I was not a fan of it. That's just me. Sting no selling just like Travis Scott. Dude, and on top of that, he had the Sage going on. I don't know. It was weird. We're going to look back in 20 years like, why the hell was Travis Scott there? Travis should have never been in there. He doesn't know what he's doing. He looks like a lost puppy in there. Dude, I think he was high. I honestly think he was high. But you're not wrong. Travis is the new Dennis Rodman and new Hulk Hogan. I could see that. The Dennis Rodman comparison with the NWO, I can totally see that. I don't think it's a bad comparison at all. Would have been better off using possibly a team like A-Town Down Under. Some guys they could give extra heat to. Yeah, I could see that. Who would have been a good option though? I don't know about A-Town Down Under, but I get the sentiment. I totally get the idea that you could have had it as like The Rock is your big guy, right? The final boss. John Cena, it's John Cena fighting for the world title, and then maybe someone on the mid card, give them a little bit of a rub to face off against maybe LA Knight. Maybe I saw some people saying, "What about LA Knight, who's already, a little bit of a throwback to The Rock, but he's LA, Hollywood, like Hollywood Rock and Cena, definitely could fit there, but I don't think you want to turn him heel yet. So, but I do think it would have benefited someone younger, give them a little bit of a rub. Because imagine that, A young guy, for example, just throwing a name out there, Carmelo, because you guys know I'm a big fan. Carmelo getting the rub from The Rock and Cena, huge. No doubt he was high. Yeah, dude, that wasn't sage. Yeah, we all know it. They kept saying like he's saging. It's like, dude, we know it's not sage. He just kept doing that, and I'm with you. We all know it. That's not the point. Some guys can still perform on other things. He just doesn't belong in there. So I hear what you're saying when people can perform, but that's the thing though. He's not a performer. If it's other guys who can perform under the influence, yes, but he's not a performer. He's not a wrestler. Apparently, he's training to become one and have a matchup. I'm very curious to see who it's with, but I don't know. I don't know, dude. He doesn't belong in there. Or maybe we're wrong. I mean, look at Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny had a great match. Maybe he can perform. I don't know. I don't know. But we know it wasn't Sage. I mean, like his entrance with Jey Uso. Come on. Lighting it up live on TV. And I have nothing against it. They can do that, but Sam says, I don't like that idea at all. Of what? Of him wrestling? Of him, yeah, because, well, okay. If it's of him wrestling, yeah, I totally get it. I don't want him in a ring. Yeah, okay. I agree with you. I think he should be used as like a managerial position. He could be the guy, hyping them up, whatever. Again, just like the managerial position, valet. In the ring, I don't think so. I'm with you. Maybe a tag team match. And if it's like a 20-minute tag match, have them be legal for 2 minutes. But it's dangerous. I mean, look, dude, he already got heat, hitting Cody. Who's to say he doesn't hurt someone else? I don't know if that's a risk they want to take. Muhammad says Chris Jericho can go. Are you saying he can go in the ring or he can go away? Because that can be interpreted two different ways, as well as Billy Gunn. Hey, Billy Gunn's in good shape, but I do agree. I don't think Billy Gunn and Chris Jericho need to do it anymore. They're solidified. They're solidified. On the highest level. Billy Gunn gonna go down the Al Snow route and save Ring of Honor. Maybe. That's not a bad idea, Sam. Because I think Billy Gunn has something to offer in terms of, his experience, up here. I agree. Why is it hard to stay in shape? Dude, it's a full-time job, right? Because you got to eat, you got to train, you got to maintain, you got to watch the macros and the micros, and it's tough. Consistency, man. You gotta love it. Sometimes and scissors me. Oh my god, you're talking about Billy Gunn. I got you. I was gonna say like, whoa, pause, but I got you. Vince McMahon tried to do with Austin Theory as his new featured project, like he did with John Cena. I still think there's possibilities with Austin Theory, though. I'm a fan of Austin Theory. They need to break up A Town Down Under. Not that it was bad. I just think it's ran its course. I think Austin Theory could be a solid babyface. Keep Grayson Waller as a heel. Move Theory as a babyface. I think there's potential there. I would love to see Theory as a babyface, especially now that Cena's a heel and the roles are reversed. It's something fresh, something different, and I love it. I want to see Theory as a heel. I think he has potential. Oh, sorry. I want to see Theory as a babyface. I think there's potential there. Shout out to Salvi there in the chat. Thank you so much. The Grayson Waller effect. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't Cody going to be on the Grayson Waller effect next week as well? All right. I'm going to go ahead and start to call it here, guys. We ran for 3.5 hours here on a stream. Awesome conversations. I want to welcome our newest subs to the channel, Sam, Sammy, PA World. I mean, shout out to you guys. Thank you for joining us on today's live stream. Looking forward to seeing you guys in future live streams. Again, we have Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays as well. Cody Rhodes will be on Miss TV. Thank you. Shout out to Muhammad there for the correction. Miss TV, you are right. It was Miss TV. Thank you guys for joining us on today's live stream. Again, appreciate it. Sam says, much love, brother. Have a good night. You too. Thank you so much for the support. Hope to see you on Monday's stream following Monday Night Raw. This stream was fire, only because you guys made it fire. I want to first and foremost say that. Sam and Sammy, thank you guys for joining. Of course, PA World as well. Hopefully everyone has a great night. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. We'll catch you again for Monday's live stream. And again, keep an eye out for the poll. We're gonna do a poll to determine what we're gonna talk about for Thursday's live stream. Salvi says the Demon Finn Balor. Who against if he comes back? I'll answer that question, Salvi, and then we'll head out. For the current purposes, I think it'd be Dominic. If we're going now, I would like to see it maybe against like a Braun Breaker, only because Braun Breaker is so OP. I think he would need it. I think Finn would need the Demon, but that's just mine. Give me some time, maybe think of a better answer, but that's off the cuff. Thank you again, Salvi, for the question. Thank you to everybody who joined us on today's live stream. You guys always make this such a pleasant experience for me. Thank you for your support. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, consider joining the Main Event Mafia. But until then, everyone have a safe night, have a good night, or a great morning, depending where you're watching this from. And we'll see you on the stream following Monday Night Raw. Thanks again, everybody.